Operation Exorcise the Mad Lord is as follows. First, I unleash a void-shattering sword strike to slice the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious fortress in half. As confirmed back when Jang Ik was involved, even if the Mad Lord's fortress is cut in half, Yon's play will still activate, so there's no issue. Next, Kim Yon enters the split fortress, and through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon at great completion, triggers Yon's play. Then Mad Lord will be exorcised, attain Buddhahood, within Yon's play, and the wonderfully mysterious fortress will fall into our hands. The wonderfully mysterious fortress has a self-repair function, so the parts I destroy should restore themselves. The variables here are the wonderfully mysterious fortress and her power. This life's wonderfully mysterious fortress has the realm annihilation ground shrinking formation added to it. Just that alone gives it the mobility of the star-shattering stage within the bright cold realm. Moreover, having witnessed Kang Min-hee at the star-shattering stage firsthand, it's unclear how much she has been modified based on that information. In other words, I have to consider the possibility that the Mad Lord might try to escape from me. Thus, I have prepared another plan for that. You understand your role, right, Seo Ran? Yes, Senior. Seo Ran is aboard the Nether Crossing ship. Seo Ran's Nether Crossing ship has a power source installed. The power source from the Nether Crossing ship that was destroyed by Kang Min-hee was moved to Seo Ran's Nether Crossing ship. However, since this is a temporary arrangement, there is the condition that it has to be returned to Black Ghost Valley later. To think that, when I mentioned going to face the Mad Lord, they readily lent me the power source with both hands. To Black Ghost Valley, the Mad Lord is a terrifying beast that left a blemish on their 500,000-year history. Saying we're going to eliminate such a monster, they didn't just lend us the Nether Crossing ship, but also numerous ghost kings. Kaile. Kiyue. Thanks to that, the eerie cries of the ghost kings are resonating from within the Nether Crossing ship. I gesture to Seo Ran, and he responds with a nod. Following the signal, my comrades quickly board the Nether Crossing ship. It will take about 5 seconds to activate the Realm Annihilation ground shrinking formation. During that time, we must infiltrate the wonderfully mysterious fortress. If the Mad Lord escapes while fighting me, I will pursue him, while my comrades who infiltrate the wonderfully mysterious fortress will activate Yon's play. Yes, I will complete the mission without fail, even if it's to carry on my master's grudge. Behind the energetically shouting Seo Ran, it feels as though I can see the faint image of Songjin, the Grand Elder of Black Ghost Valley, who was humiliatingly defeated by the Mad Lord. Songjin's vengeance will carry on through Seo Ran and be executed today. Good, then let's go. I nod and turn my head again. Kugagagung. The Nether Crossing ship moves. The Nether Crossing ship tears through space and performs a spatial leap. The next place the Nether Crossing ship will appear in the next moment will be inside the wonderfully mysterious fortress. I exude ghostly energy as I fly towards the wonderfully mysterious fortress, dragging dark clouds behind me. When the gliding technique of the demon race, which utilizes heaven and earth spiritual energy as stepping stones, is used in a certain realm, the heaven and earth spiritual energy begins to assist them. Heaven and earth spiritual energy voluntarily rushes in, allowing the demon race to move even faster. The dense spiritual energy transforms into the form of clouds, making it appear as though they are riding on clouds as they move. Quarrung. Using the gliding technique, I shoot swiftly towards the wonderfully mysterious fortress from above the black clouds. TSDS. Curses begin to flow from my entire body. The next moment, Quaying, I collide with the defensive barrier surrounding the wonderfully mysterious fortress. The defensive barrier wavers. At the same time, the part of the formation I touched begins to decay. Weaving. An alarm blares from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. I smile faintly and stretch out both hands. Severing mountain swordsmanship. Ninth move. Landscape painting. The slash spread in all directions. The transparent sword energy shatters the Mad Lord's defensive formation in one blow. With this, the Nether Crossing ship will reach the interior of the wonderfully mysterious fortress without issue. Since the barrier likely also includes parts that block enemy teleportation, the operation should proceed smoothly now. What remains is... Kwung. We've known each other for quite some time, haven't we? She appears above the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Kagagugugu. I feel the wonderfully mysterious fortress trembling. The Mad Lord may be insane, but he's no fool. Of course, his ability to assess situations is rather poor. That's why the Mad Lord implanted situation judgment magic artifact in his body. Thanks to that, when he meets a dangerous enemy, he knows how to flee at the right moment. Even if the Mad Lord wishes to fight, the judgment device implanted in him runs simulated battles with illusions, and if it determines there is no chance of victory, it forces him to attempt an escape. After all, what do you think made that madman, who struggles to tell right from wrong, flee from the flying immortal platform in the first place? And now, the judgment device implanted in the Mad Lord seems to have decided that he stands no chance against me, as the realm annihilation ground shrinking formation begins to be activated. Wee-yang. I can see space bending. What though? It's faster than I expected. It seems I made a slight miscalculation. It looks like the realm annihilation ground shrinking formation will only take about 3 seconds to activate. In that time, the Mad Lord must have modified the formation once more, enhancing its performance. Now, the only remaining factor is her capabilities. I enter into the time of instance and fix my gaze on her. 3 seconds. It's short, but for those at the integration stage and above, it's an extremely long time. We've had quite a lot of ill fate between us, but I smile as I look at her. I recall the Mad Lord threatening all the other cultivation sects through her in Ascension Path. I recall her chasing after me like a madwoman with just one hand, forcing me to suicide. I recall her, who spent 1,000 years with the Mad Lord, and in terms of energy had grown to the size of the star-shattering stage. She has always been a terrifying presence to me. As I gaze at her, whose face is covered in white cloth like the buck Hyung-hwa I dance with in the 10th cycle, I softly mutter, "Today I will confirm your face and sever this ill-fated connection." And in that moment, I rush straight toward her. Quieting. An immense roar and shockwave erupt. I sense that the Nether crossing ship has successfully teleported into the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Now all I need to do is tie her down. I can feel it from the first strike. It's insane, Mad Lord. She's stronger than her at the 1,000-year pond. I can already sense the power of a star at the star-shattering stage. But the strength consumption is fast. I realize that this overwhelming wave of power will soon subside. At best 5 seconds. After that, it'll stop functioning. Her strength is immense, but it only lasts 5 seconds. Of course, in the star-shattering stage, 5 seconds is an incredibly long time, but that's all. It's incomplete. Her output included, she can't move in the same flow of time as me. The acceleration of consciousness at this stage is at an almost transcendental speed. Then please be on your way. She who I once feared. Clicking. In the frozen world. There's something like a disc rises behind her. What? It's a ring. Behind her back like a halo, like an aureole, a perfectly round ring appears. At the same time, a sharp mechanical sound is heard from her. Celestial energy calculation device activating, switching to combat mode. Calculation speed for countering a star-shattering stage enemy approved. Weaving. Inside the semi-transparent ring, which appears to be made of crystal, something black writhes. I will counterattack. Quang. I let out a dry laugh as I watch her spear strike my sword. Celestial energy calculation device. Just what have you created this time, Mad Lord? Will Wung. From my perspective, her spear technique is crude. It's only about as complete as the severing mountain swordsmanship I used before Kim Young-hoon improved it. But that's not the issue here. Attraction force. Kugaguguk. I feel the power of a star surging within her. Simultaneously, the attraction force turns into repulsion, flinging me away with cosmic force. Kyung. I'm flung away by that cosmic repulsive force. In the next moment, she moves above me using the ground shrinking technique and concentrates the attraction force at the tip of her spear, thrusting it down towards me. Flash. A brilliant light bursts forth. With her single strike, it's as if heaven and earth are connected by a pillar of light, and a hole is pierced below. The very space of the bright cold realm distorts, and a hole is punched right through the dimension. Clicking. In a fleeting instant, she adjusts her stance through the celestial energy calculation device, and swings two short spears at me. I parry the slashes of the short spears with secluded valley, then rush towards her. Astonishing! The Mad Lord has indeed created a puppet at the star-shattering level, even if it's only for 5 seconds. Crunch! My left hand digs into her waist. She narrowly dodges my strike and climbs up a large rocky mountain before shifting her stance. In an instant, I reach in front of her. She tries to react, but I unleash 3 consecutive techniques, slamming her down along with the entire rocky mountain. Kugwang! She is unable to react in time, crashing down below before bouncing back up. I leap onto her body and extend both hands. Overlaying my hands with my sword, I slam down once more. Severing mountain swordsmanship. Dragon vein. Mountain and valley transformation. My left hand slashes down, cutting her, while my right hand penetrates sword energy into her body, erupting the power within as if reshaping the terrain from the inside. Quaching, quaching. I hear the sounds of mechanical components inside the puppet's body shattering. But it seems this level of damage doesn't impair her functionality, as she starts responding to me again. In the world of moments, there she and I exchange countless blows. Splurt. We pierce through the clouds and clash in the sky. She tries to push me back using the paired wing spear technique. Using a changing technique, she attempts to expose my weaknesses, but I disrupt her internally again with Mountain Echo's Valley response. She mixes the illusory moves and domineering moves of the paired wings spear to attack me with domineering force within her illusionary strikes, but I counter it by absorbing the force and sending it back with the echoing valley. When beams of light shoot out from both her hands, I retaliate by unleashing beams of ghostly energy from my 42 eyes. As she attempts to collapse the entire space through attraction force, I slice through the entire space with accumulating dust forms a mountain. Shakwang. The force of accumulating dust forms a mountain not only cuts through the space, but continues to surge forward relentlessly. She blocks the sword energy from accumulating dust forms a mountain, but its power propels her upward endlessly, toward the sky above the bright cold realm. I chase after her, overlaying the all-heaven sword onto my body. Before long, Jade. She is pushed back by accumulating dust forms a mountain, reaching the end of the bright cold realm sky. The dimensional barrier, also known as the world shield force. Towards the her, who has reached that veil, I charge at her with my sword enveloping my body. Quang! It feels as if the entire bright cold realm is reverberating. At the same time, the distortion of the world shield force is visible to the naked eye. Severing mountain swordsmanship. Deep mountain. Originally, deep mountain is a move that digs deep into the opponent's space and slices upward. But this time, I modified the technique to slash while body slamming. In other words, it doesn't just end with a body slam. Surung. I lift my sword energy upwards at her, who is stuck within the distorted world shield force. Flash. Along with that, the already completely distorted world shield force of the bright cold realm explodes entirely. Quagwagwang. She is flung outside the bright cold realm. She tries to regain her stance and respond to me. But I accelerate my consciousness even further and extend both hands. Sword formation. 12,000. From my entire body, colorless glass swords are unleashed. The sword formation I completed together with Hong Suryong encircles her. 3,000 colorless glass swords each produce 3 additional split shadows, becoming a formation of 12,000 swords. The sword formation seems to rotate around her before gradually starting to close in. This is the end. With a loud shout, I rapidly tighten the sword formation. A burst of brilliant light erupts. Flash. With the blinding white light, an overwhelming attraction force concentrates into one spot. She emerges from the sword formation. One of her short spears is broken, and one of her arms is so tattered that it's nearly unusable. Her entire body is severely damaged. And I can finally see her face. Jo-Yeon opened his eyes wide. Quang! In an instant, her spear thrust shattered his defensive spell. Impressive. With a wide grin, he confronted her. Both wielded spherical consciousness domains, but their methods of usage were completely different. She used her consciousness domain to read the flow of air, spiritual energy, and the flow of spells to destroy the spells. With graceful movements, launched an attack toward Jo-Yeon. Though Zhou Yong casted countless spells, few managed to reach her. She's reading me. He could feel it. She was reading the hues of his intent and evading all of his attacks. Should I try using that cultivation method I've been developing? Zhou Yong pondered for a moment, but soon he gave up. It's an incomplete method. It's still far from being finished. I can't use something so crude yet. Instead, he chose a more straightforward approach, the kind that cultivators use to defeat martial artists. Overwhelming strength, crushing her techniques with sheer, overwhelming power. Quang! One side of the pavilion wall exploded. At the same time, Zhou Yong's spell directly struck her body, and she was flung far into the distance. I got a bit too excited. I should save her if she falls from that height. But Zhou Yong's eyes widened. Paling! She stepped onto the air and flew upward. What? Not even his friend Wal Bai could do such a thing. Well, to be precise, he had heard that it was something Wal Bai could do with enough time. But Wal Bai had simply said that he didn't want to waste time learning trivial tricks like stepping on the air. However, just by looking, it was clear that she was younger than Wal Bai. Vitality that looked like she just entered her 20s. Putting aside the fact that she had already reached the same realm as Wal Bai at such a young age, she had even mastered stepping on the air that even Wal Bai needed time to learn. As Zhou Yong realized her talent was beyond imagination, he let out a bright laugh. This is great, Wal Bai. Tayet. He kicked off the pavilion and jumped onto his flying artifact, launching more spells toward her. With two short spears enveloped in spear gang, she deflected and averted his spells as she gradually closed the distance between them. You've got yourself a fine disciple. Is this all you've got? Quang! Zhou Yong roared as he unleashed a spell of flame dragons toward her. Wal Bai wasn't done with just this. That guy coated the air with gang chi and sent it flying. Are you telling me that his disciple only learned trivial tricks like stepping on the air? Did you really learn anything properly? Cug! Show me more of what Wal Bai taught you. He even pulled out a magic artifact from within his robes. The horsetail whisk magic artifact radiated intense heat as it surged toward her. Quang! She cloaked her entire body in protective gang chi and swung her dual spears. But it wasn't easy. Zhou Yong remembered the spear techniques Wal Bai had once displayed and dodged her attacks, pressing her even further. Before long, while fighting in mid-air, the two of them had moved from the upper floor of Chi Spear Pavilion, where they first clashed, to an isolated forest. Wood Chinese letter. As Zhou Yong formed hand seals, the trees rapidly grew and rushed toward her like tentacles. She wielded her spear, slicing through the branches in the air as if dancing. She's gradually losing energy. Zhou Yong smiled as he watched her. She wasn't on the same level as Wal Bai in his prime, but she was quite strong. However, at that age and with that level of skill, given time, she might very well surpass Wal Bai. Zhou Yong was truly delighted. His friend remained alive within her, in the form of martial arts. Gradually, the distance between Zhou Yong and her closed. At first, it was she who had approached Zhou Yong to wound him, but now it was Zhou Yong approaching her. Just a little more. Just a little closer. Wal Bai. Oh, he could feel the traces of his first friend. Quang! Zhou Yong swung his whisk, sending a bird of fire at her before moving in close. He didn't think it was dangerous. Different from when he met Wal Bai at the early Qi building stage, Zhou Yong had grown significantly. He had now reached full completion of the early Qi building stage, forming all 7 stars of horn, neck, root, room, heart, tail, and winnowing basket. With his body completely covered in pure spiritual force, he had no fear of being injured by something like gang chi. He stepped into the range of her spear to feel Wal Bai's spear technique more deeply. Just as Zhou Yong entered her proximity. Chills. He saw her fighting well beyond the mask and felt shivers down his back. Wait, this is... The spear was changing. Wal Bai's paired wing spear was beginning to evolve. No. He was so shocked to the point of his eyes bulging out. Pushed to her limits, she was evolving the paired wing spear. The technique was changing. No, it was evolving. Quang! Her spear gang struck Zhou Yong's protective pure spiritual force. Zhou Yong was shocked to the point his heart almost leaped out, but at the same time, he smiled with satisfaction. A disciple with talent surpassing Wal Bai. Though Wal Bai was no longer in this world, Jo Yon felt he understood what Wal Bai must have felt in his final moments. To this child, he entrusted everything and then died. With talent like this, Wal Bai surely departed without any lingering regrets. Freely and without burden. Because this disciple clearly had the skills to repay all of his debts. Magnificent! Jo Yon shouted. From behind her mask, he could feel her labored breathing. As expected, it seemed she was nearly drained of her internal energy. Jo Yon laughed heartily as he spoke. You've not only inherited everything from Wal Bai magnificently, but even evolved beyond it. You are. Just then. Chills. Wait, what is this fighting will? It's not over yet. She adjusted her spear stance. Jolt. For a moment, Jo Yon felt her consciousness domain compress. Pud. Huh. He looked down in a daze at his chest. A hole the thickness of a strand of hair had pierced through Jo Yon's chest. Ki Taeyok. Jo Yon coughed up blood. This, wait. He realized what she had done. A martial artist's gang chi couldn't normally pierce a cultivator's protective gang chi. So, she compressed the gang chi into a thread, maximizing its power in a split second to pierce Jo Yon's heart. My pulmonary artery is torn. His heart wasn't shattered, but Jo Yon could feel that his pulmonary artery had been ripped apart. Kayak. He lost focus and fell from his flying magic artifact. And absurdly enough, she too had exhausted all her strength and was falling. This reckless, both of us are in midair, what are we supposed to do? Forcing himself to stay conscious, Jo Yon grabbed a handful of elixirs from his storage artifact and swallowed them. He then applied an emergency healing spell and a talisman to his chest. Afterward, he grabbed her as she fell, pulling her into his arms and cast a floating spell. Cough. Perhaps due to the injury she inflicted on him, the spell faltered, and Jo Yon's floating spell was only half completed. Dying is. Images of his life flashed through Jo Yon's mind. Quang. He crashed into an old tree growing at the edge of the forest, near a small path. Crash. Branches snapped, and the leaves, already withering and dying, fluttered to the ground. But by some stroke of fortune, both Jo Yon and the woman survived. Hi. Jo Yon, drenched in cold sweat, glanced around. They were on top of a tree. Crack. And just as he realized this, the branch they were on broke, and the two of them fell to the ground once more. Kuak-erg. Jo Yon coughed up more blood, trembling as he shakily grabbed another 1 or 2 pills, swallowing them before barely managing to sit up and circulate his energy. Chia. Even if he was a chi-building cultivator, the heart is a dangerous area. Until he reached the core formation stage, he was still bound by the fragility of human life. I almost died. If her spear had been aimed just a little closer to the center of his heart, Jo Yon would surely have been the one to die. He had narrowly escaped death. Looking at the old tree with its pale pink flowers, Jo Yon offered his thanks. Thank you. He leaned against the trunk and caught his breath. Then he began to laugh heartily. Jo Yon cried. He cried his heart out. My friend, are you watching? The disciple who inherited your will has already surpassed you. The gift I was going to give you, you wouldn't mind if I gave it to your disciple, right? He retrieved the short spear he intended to give to Wal Bai from his storage artifact and placed it next to the still unconscious her. Afterward, he checked her pulse. She was still alive. Jo Yon looked at her face. Somewhere along the fall, her mask must have flown off, as it was nowhere to be seen. Her face was covered in pockmarks, perhaps from an illness in her childhood. And above one of her eyes was a large burn scar. Soon she opened her eyes. Alaya. She met Jo Yon's eyes, then hurriedly covered her face, looking around frantically until she found her mask. Only after hastily putting on the mask to cover her face did she face Jo Yon again. I've treated your internal injuries for now. I also treated your other wounds using my healing talisman, so your body should be fine. However, you've completely depleted your internal energy, so you'll feel weak. And also, Jo Yon pointed to the short spear he had placed beside where she had been lying. You won, that weapon is now yours. At those words, she looked between the spear and Jo Yon for a moment before asking. Excuse me, but may I ask your name? Were you perhaps an acquaintance of my master? Jo Yon smiled softly and said, Before I tell you my name, show me the paired wing spear with that spear. I'll tell you after I see it." "Understood." She nodded and took Jo Youn's spear, taking her stance. Then, like a graceful dance, the paired wing spear unfolded from her hands. Jo Youn watched. It was similar to Wal Bai's spear, yet different. Spear more refined, but with Wal Bai's will Chinese letter still intact. He felt a momentary illusion, as if he had returned to the past when Wal Bai had demonstrated martial arts in front of him, explaining the moves with the weapons Jo Youn had crafted for him. Drip, drip. Jo Youn's eyes welled up again as he laughed. "It's excellent. Wal Bai would surely be delighted even in the afterlife." "Thank you, Senior." "My name is Jo Youn, Chinese letter. What is yours?" I've heard of you." She bowed to Jo Youn and said, "I am Wal Ha-yun, Chinese letter, the adopted daughter and disciple of the #1 spear under the heavens, Wal Bai. It is my honor to greet my master's companion for the first tea." Wal Ha-yun, while offering her greeting, collapsed again mid-bow. Jo Youn chuckled. "My apologies. You must have overexerted yourself showing me the spear while already exhausted." "Yes, it seems I've embarrassed myself." "No, it's my fault for making such a request." After finishing his words, Jo Youn leaned back against the tree trunk and looked up at the tree that took them in. "Do you know what kind of tree this is?" "Judging by the flowers, it seems to be a quince tree. It's the season when quince flowers should be in full bloom, but seeing how few have blossomed, it must be an old tree." "This tree saved us." Jo Youn stared up at the tree for a moment before speaking to Ha-yun again. "Where is Wal Bai's body?" "Master asked to be cremated, and for his ashes to be scattered where his vengeance is completed." She took out a small wooden box from her chest. Jo Youn gestured toward the quince tree. "Then let's scatter them here. Even if we scatter them where Chi Spear Pavilion stood, it will just be trampled on again by the martial sects that come later. Instead, wouldn't it be better to scatter them at the tree that saved our lives after we avenged him? If it's my request, that friend would surely agree." "That sounds good." Ha-yun brought the box of ashes, and together, she and Jo Youn scattered them beneath the quince tree. On a day in that spring, while Ha-yun and Jo Youn exchanged their names for the first time beneath the quince tree. "What will you do now?" Night had fallen. Jo Youn lit a fire in the cave and asked her. In response to Jo Youn's question, Ha-yun seemed to ponder for a moment before replying. "My goal was to avenge my master. My master told me to do whatever I wanted once my revenge was over, but my heart feels complicated." "What's there to feel complicated about? Just do what you want." "I want to follow my master's path, but at the same time, I don't want to follow it." "What do you mean by that?" At Jo Youn's question, Wal Ha-yun touched her mask. "I was born with a disability. Though now, after undergoing a complete transformation, I've separated my fingers. I was born with my ring and pinky fingers on my right hand fused together. On top of that, after suffering from a plague, I lost my parents and was left scarred with pockmarks all over my face. Since I was young, everyone called me a beggar woman and spat on me, keeping their distance." Twitch. Jo Youn unintentionally flinched at her story. "Because of my ugly appearance, everyone despised me, and just looking at someone would make them claim I'd pass on curses and plagues, so they wouldn't even let me look at them properly. I was even threatened that they'd sew my eyes shut. But when I was 12, my master came to our village, and he cleared out the heretical sects that were extorting the villagers and trafficking drugs." Crackle. Jo Youn listened quietly as she spoke. "Everyone would scream in disgust and yell if they met my gaze. But my master, instead, took me as a disciple simply because I kept staring at the tip of his spear. He didn't discriminate against me for my appearance or my disability, and treated me the same as the other disciples he met during his heroic deeds." Ha-yun continued to fiddle with her mask. "He was a righteous man, but that righteousness made him the target of jealousy from other sects. Eventually, those who called themselves cultivators, accepting bribes from the sects, began to burn my master's clan to the ground." Shudder. Her fingertips trembled. "The clan was set on fire, and my master, after being ambushed by the cultivators, had his dantian destroyed, becoming a cripple. The cultivators mocked him and threw master's crippled body into the midst of the very people who envied him before disappearing." Crunch. Jo Youn clenched his teeth. As a cultivator himself, he knew all too well which cultivator faction had assaulted Wal clan. The Jo clan. It was his very own clan, that had ruthlessly trampled on his friend's life. I rushed in and swept aside the other martial artists, carrying my master on my back while escaping. It was in that process that I got scars on my face and why I now wear a mask, but I have no regrets. I saved my master. After that, I nursed him as he hovered between life and death, and whenever he regained consciousness, he taught me martial arts. I swore vengeance. I vowed to eliminate every vile target of my revenge with my own hands. Jo Yoon ran his hands over his face. But my master in his final moments told me this: I hope that you don't end up like me. That's why I want to do heroic deeds righteously like my master, but at the same time, I don't want to become like him, as I must honor the wish of my master who hoped for me not to up like him. What should I do? First, I must apologize to you. Jo Yoon stood and bowed his head toward Wal Hyun. Your master, the cultivators who crippled Wal Bai's martial arts, shamefully they were members of my clan. The truth spilled from his mouth. The truths of the cultivation world, and the circumstances that led the Zhou clan to become involved in the matter. I will apologize on behalf of my shameful clan. No, I give you my apologies. Hyun looked at Jo Yoon with a complex gaze. For a while, silence lingered between the two. Under the dark night sky, inside the cave where the bonfire burned. In that moment, Hyun hit Jo Yoon. At first, she hit him with controlled emotions, but gradually, the blows intensified to the point where Jo Yoon's face began to bleed. After hitting Jo Yoon for some time, Hyun eventually knelt before him, sobbing uncontrollably. Jo Yoon gently embraced her, as if trying to comfort her, and while Hyun clung to him tightly and wept aloud. The hunchback man and the disfigured woman cried by the fire, remembering the martial artist who had connected them, their tears flowing through the night. The next day arrived. I apologize about last night. No, it is I who should apologize for not paying more attention sooner. No, it was my fault for not controlling my emotions. Senior must have been grieving too, yet I couldn't even manage my own feelings. She stopped mid-sentence and looked at Jo Yoon for a moment. What will you do now, Senior? I think I'll continue to roam the martial world. In that case, I will follow Senior. I will stay by your side and protect you. It is also my way of atoning for what happened yesterday. You're going to protect me? Jo Yoon looked at her with amused eyes. Then suddenly, he playfully asked her a question. In that case, how about this? Why not become my disciple? From what I read in the records, 5 energies converging to the origin can give one the same 5-element spiritual root as us cultivators. You can train in cultivation methods, and I could teach you. The same question he had once asked Walbai. At his words, she hesitated for a moment. Jo Yoon thought to himself. How would she respond? After some contemplation, Hyun shook her head. I appreciate the offer, but I decline. I have only one master. Besides, I still prefer martial arts. Hadayahasa. Jo Yoon laughed in satisfaction at her answer, similar to Walbai's. Good, I apologize. Do as you wish. I will continue to wander the martial world and you can follow along, doing whatever you like. Understood. I will follow Senior from now on, and I will do heroic deeds as my master did, within my limits. If I follow Senior, I won't meet the same end as my master, so I will also be fulfilling my master's final wish. Do as you please. Just know, as a cultivator, I will not stay long in mortal villages. I'll be spending more time in the rivers and fields than you might expect. I'll often be dealing more with monsters and demon spirits rather than heretical sects or bandits threatening the people. After all, I've recently crushed 3 large sects on my own accord. I'll need to send the inner core of demon beasts to the clan to accumulate merits. Will you be all right with that? I'm fine with it. Then come along. And so the two began their journey. A cultivator and a martial artist who completed their revenge roamed every corner of the land. Byokra Yangyua Shengzi. As they traveled from place to place, they eliminated monsters that harmed humans. Jiangxi Fox Demon, Man-Eating Ghost, Black Snake, White Bone Ghost, a Maddened Sea Dragon, and others. TL/N, or Mi-Gu, is a Korean fox demon. It is said when a fox lives for 1,000 years, it becomes a Mi-Gu. The two of them roamed far and wide, ridding the world of evil beings. Kung. Hyun withdrew her spear from the head of a maddened sea dragon, which had been spewing lightning from its entire body. Few it strong. Are you all right? Jo Yoon approached her and took out some healing pills. Around 5 years. After traveling together for several years, eliminating monsters and demons, the two had grown quite close. From the relationship of a master's friend and his disciple, they grew closer. As a cultivator and a martial artist. As one person to another. As comrades, Jo-yeon applied a healing talisman to Ha-yoon's wound. The wound is pretty deep. The healing talisman won't be enough. We've also run out of healing pills. Let's spend the night in a nearby village and make some more. Understood, thank you. Looking at Jo-yeon drawing closer, Ha-yoon slightly tilted her head back. For some reason, the nape of her neck was slightly flushed. The two comrades arrived at a nearby village, riding together on a flying magic artifact. Chiak, you must be immortals. Welcome to Seok Village. Seok Village, what a nice name. We seek lodging for the night. Do you have room for the two of us? Oh yes, I will gladly host both immortals at my home, but may I ask a favor from the immortals? At that, Jo-yeon and Wal Ha-yoon exchanged glances, then spoke to the village chief. Tell us your request. In the mountain behind our village, there lives a giant black snake that devours people. The number of people who have already entered that black snake's stomach is already well into the dozens. I beg the immortals to capture that black snake. At the village chief's request, the two immediately nodded. Very well, we'll go take care of it right now. Agreed, but first, let's rest for the night to recover our strength, and then we'll deal with it. The two had slightly different opinions. While Ha-yoon spoke, shouldn't we take care of the snake demon spirit even a day sooner so the villagers can feel more at ease? Jo-yeon shook his head. You're not fully recovered yet. It's safer to treat yourself first before confronting it. I'm fine this kind of injury. I can endure a little longer. Based on the testimony, it's a demon beast barely at the chi building stage. We can catch it quickly. Jo-yeon stared at her for a moment, reading the will in her eyes, and nodded. If that's your will. With that, the two immediately headed to the mountain behind Seok Village to subdue the snake demon beast. Kagagugu. The black snake demon charged at them with fierce eyes. Ha-yoon stepped on the air to evade the snake's attack, targeting the gaps between its scales with her spear, tearing into its body with gang chi. Jo-yeon floated the magic artifacts he created himself, pressuring the snake demon. It's when everything was progressing smoothly as the two fought the snake. Kiyuak. The snake demon swung its tail like a whip. The tail broke the sound barrier in an instant and slashed deeply into Ha-yoon's wound. Kug. Ha-yoon groaned in pain, and in that brief moment, the snake body slammed into her direction. Kwang. She quickly enveloped herself in protective gang chi to minimize the impact, but her mask was shattered in the process. Startled by the loss of her mask, Ha-yoon glanced at Jo-yeon, her face flushed red with embarrassment. At that moment, the black snake rushed toward her again, but Jo-yeon swiftly stepped in between them. With a furious expression, Jo-yeon unleashed flames directly into the snake's mouth. The snake's vitality quickly drained. However, all of a sudden, the snake lunged at Jo-yeon as it was losing consciousness. Quag! The snake's fangs grazed Jo-yeon's skin. His skin tore, and the venom began to spread inside him, twisting his face in pain. Panicking, Ha-yoon thrust her spear, finally piercing a hole through the snake's face and causing it to fall into slumber. While Ha-yoon quickly picked up Jo-yeon and stepped in the air to rush back to Seok Village with her face pale. And no, you can't die. She was normally someone who couldn't even more properly without her mask, but at this moment, she didn't even pay it any heed and ran with all her might. Upon reaching the village, she brought the village's only doctor, a scholar from the local bookstore, to treat Jo-yeon. She arrived at the village and immediately brought the village's only healer, a scholar from the village bookshop, to treat Jo-yeon. The bookstore scholar treated Jo-yeon. Ha-yoon anxiously gritted her teeth, waiting outside until the treatment was finished. The bookshop scholar's daughter wandered around Ha-yoon with a fairy tale book, occasionally glancing at the room where Jo-yeon was being treated. However, neither of them said anything to each other. Surprisingly, the treatment was done quickly. Since the black snake frequently spread venom, the village always had antidotes on hand. HM, you didn't need to rush here so quickly. With a chi-building cultivator's innate detoxification abilities, it would have healed on its own, for something like this. That's a relief. While Ha-yoon smiled brightly, and Jo-yeon stared blankly at her face for a moment. Noticing his gaze, she flinched and quickly covered her face. That my bare face. I'd appreciate it if you didn't look at it. Emma. She fumbled in a flustered manner, then hurried over to a nearby woman and borrowed a white cloth to cover her face. Afterward, as if trying to move past the embarrassing situation, she quickly changed the subject. That aside, your body is quite weak. When the snake made its final attack, you could have avoided it easily if you knew even basic martial arts. Well, that's true, but as a cultivator, mixing internal energy with spiritual power will actually slow down my progress in cultivation. You can at least learn some external method that don't use internal energy and basic movements, can't you? I'll teach you. Seemingly pleased with the new idea that just came to her, she led Jo-Yeon to the center of the village. Hyun held her short spear in both hands, and Jo-Yeon was handed a suitable fan borrowed from elderly passerbys. Even if you don't use weapons in combat, just learning how to move your body properly will help a lot. Try following me. All right. As the sun began to set, the man and woman practiced martial arts that looked like a dance. Each time Hyun's spear moved, Jo-Yeon's fan followed. Jo-Yeon mimicked Hyun's movements exactly. Hyun spun 3 times to the right, and Jo-Yeon followed, spinning 3 times as well. The tip of Jo-Yeon's fan and the tip of Wal Hyun's spear brushed against each other 3 times. Hyun looked at Jo-Yeon and said, "You're following along well. Next, I'll teach you footwork and a technique that lets you close in on your opponent, like this." For a while in the center of the village, the two unfolded martial arts that resembled a dance. As the sun gradually set, more onlookers gathered. Through Wal Bai and perfected by Wal Hyun, the paired wing spear was quite beautiful. The sight of the man and woman moving in sync with their martial arts was pleasing to watch, regardless of the heavenly penalties they both carried. All right, let's try again from the beginning, but this time, senior, please attack me intermittently. Once again, their martial moves unfolded. Jo-Yeon seemed to dance lively, following her. Then, at a sudden moment, Todd. He moved swiftly, reaching for Hyun's face. Hyun tried to dodge, but for an instant, Jo-Yeon's intent twisted into an unexpected trajectory, making it unable for her to evade. And in that instant, Jo-Yeon's hand removed the cloth covering Hyun's face. No. Hyun was flustered, but Jo-Yeon tossed the cloth aside and laughed. "I want to see your face." Blushing furiously, Hyun muttered in a voice barely above a whisper. "No, you mustn't, it's too ugly. It's not something worthy of being seen by you." "It's fine." Jo-Yeon smiled warmly as he spoke. "You're beautiful, that face as well." His voice was quiet, but it was clearly heard in the village center. The villagers erupted into cheers and applause. But the man and woman, both blushing, only looked at each other. Hyun shed tears. The expressions of the hunchbacked man and the disfigured woman both changed to a smiling face and a crying face. Hyun cried. Yet even as she cried, she didn't stop performing the paired wing spear's martial moves with Jo-Yeon. With her face covered in tears, Hyun spoke to Jo-Yeon. "All right, then, shall us two imperfect people continue dancing together? I told you you're beautiful." The two continued to dance, and finally, just as the sun had completely set and the moon was rising, their dance came to an end. The village chief of Seok village approached the two immortals who had saved their village, bowing deeply as he spoke. "Thank you for saving our village, Sir Immortal, Lady Immortal. Thank you so much for subduing the Black Snake. To make sure today's grace is remembered for times to come, we will have the dance the two immortals have shown us as a tradition of our village, passed down to future generations. The dance the immortals displayed will become our village's, no, the entire region's pride and tradition. Once again, thank you." The two of them glanced at each other and smiled bashfully at the village chief's words. Jo-Yeon smiled brightly and said, "If you're going to pass it down, make sure to put in the effort so it lasts not just 1,000 years, but tens of thousands of years into the future." "We will certainly do so. The two immortals will be able to see our village's tradition even 1,000 years from now." After finishing his words, the village chief swallowed nervously and then spoke in a more suggestive tone. And if you'd like, my house will be entirely vacated for the night." At that, both Jo-Yeon and Wal Hyun blushed deeply and burst into hearty laughter. And so on that day, the two connections became one. Chapter 451, Yeon's Heart 4. The very day Jo-Yeon was taught martial arts from Wal Hyun and danced with her. The two finally became a pair. As the couple left the Seok village, They flew on a magic artifact, their bodies leaning a little closer to each other than before. From that day on, they were always together. Before, only their bodies were together, but now, even their hearts were completely intertwined. For the next few years, they continued to exterminate demon beasts together, deepening their love. At the same time, they both grew stronger. Ha-Yun's martial arts improved greatly alongside Jo-Yeon, striving to reach the pinnacle of 5 energies converging to the origin. The consciousness method that Jo-Yeon was developing also took shape after truly becoming lovers with Ha-Yun. TSDS. It's beautiful. Ha-Yun smiled as she watched Jo-Yeon refining his consciousness method. The thread-like form of his consciousness scattered in all 4 directions, much like immortals. The threads of Jo-Yeon's consciousness, influenced by his current emotional state, were tinged with a violet hue, resembling tentacles at a glance. The threads were particularly connected to the 7 patterns on Jo-Yeon's face, making them seem even more intertwined with him. Recently, 2 of the 7 tattoos had begun merging into one, and because of this, Jo-Yeon's face appeared even more connected to the tentacles. The sight was somewhat grotesque, yet the appearance of those consciousness threads was strikingly beautiful, and Jo-Yeon at the center looked like an immortal being burning with the flames of consciousness. After calming his consciousness method, Jo-Yeon took off his mask and met Ha-Yun's gaze. By now, Ha-Yun no longer wore her mask. Perhaps it was because they wanted to see each other's faces more clearly. It's embarrassing, it's still incomplete, and the thread spilling from my whole body, doesn't it look a bit strained? Ha-Yun watched Jo-Yeon return the consciousness threads to their spherical form, and after a moment of thought spoke. Isn't it a matter of perception? Perception? Yes, if you see it as strange, it's strange. But if you look at it from another perspective, it's really quite beautiful, just like when you said my face was pretty. That was genuinely. Enough, it's embarrassing, so stop it. What I mean is, it's only strange Chinese letter because you perceive it that way, but in my eyes, yes. Ha-Yun paused as if searching for the right word, then said, it's wonderfully mysterious, Chinese letter, in a way that's quite fascinating and beautiful. TL/N. Wonderfully mysterious also means wonderfully strange or strange and wonderful. Jo-Yeon blushed. Your choice of words is weird, you need to study more. No, what do you mean by that, even after I complimented you? Don't hit me, the difference in our physical strength makes it hurt. How about we go get something to eat? I'll buy you something delicious to lift your mood. After bickering for a bit, the two headed to a nearby village. As they entered the village, Ha-Yun held Jo-Yeon's hand. Though she was getting used to not wearing her mask, it still wasn't completely comfortable for her. Her pockmarked scars were from a rare plague that even complete transformation couldn't erase, and the burn scar was something she had purposely left, to remind her of the anger she felt when she lost Wall-Bai. However, now that her vengeance was complete, the burn scar only brought her a deep sense of shame. But eventually, she found peace by holding Jo-Yeon's hand, ignoring the stares of the people as they headed to an inn together. All eyes in the inn turned toward them. A hunchbacked man and a hideously scarred woman. It was a combination that naturally drew attention. HMPH. Jo-Yeon, irritated by the stares, raised his killing intent. His consciousness waves spread throughout the inn, causing the faces of the mortals there to turn pale. They quickly finished their meals and left the inn, while even those strong enough to withstand his consciousness waves averted their eyes. You didn't need to go that far. I had something to say anyway. Jo-Yeon led her to the top floor of the inn, seating them at the spot with the best scenic view. He looked like he wanted to say something, but his face turned red and he fumbled for words. Jo-Yeon stammered for a while, breathing heavily. Finally, as if making a decision, he grabbed Ha-Yun's hand and spoke. Will you, Mar? Thud. Just as Jo-Yeon was about to say something important, a hand suddenly slammed down on the table, separating the two of them. Jo-Yeon, ready to glare at the intruder with killing intent, suddenly flinched as a chilling realization dawned on him. What? Neither of us noticed until this person got so close. A man wearing a bamboo hat and ragged martial robes stood before them. His eyes had a vacant look, and an unpleasant smile curled on his lips. Jo-Yeon felt a terror he had never felt before from the man standing before him. As Jo-Yeon and Ha-Yoon stood frozen in place, the man smiled faintly and spoke. Ho, no need to be so tense, you two. I've only come to ask for your names. With a trembling voice, Jo-Yeon asked, Who might you be, senior? Ho, I wonder if you'd know if I told you. You see, I'm, yes, the father of the ones you two killed during your heroic deeds. Chills. Jo-Yeon felt a chill run through his entire body. The only beings he and Ha-Yoon had killed since they began their journey were demon beasts, which meant this man before them was the father of one of the demon beasts they had slain. And as far as Jo-Yeon knew, there was only one type of demon beast that could transform so perfectly into a human form. Transformation stage. In other words, a demon beast at least at the nascent soul stage. Jo-Yeon trembled before the man, as if he were a quaking aspen. Is this how it ends? It was when Jo-Yeon's eyes were filled with despair. Ha-Yoon took a deep breath and spoke to the man. Senior, we do not know who you are. However, I will say this. Most of the beings we have slain were demon beasts that excessively harmed humans and developed a taste for slaughter. For those demon beasts that only once preyed on humans, we merely injured them and chased them away, teaching them that humans are not their prey. We do not know which demon beast you claim as your child, but every one of those we killed had a reason to die. Jo-Yeon stared at her in shock. No, to say that in front of a nascent soul stage demon beast, I see. Unlike me, she doesn't understand the level of a demon beast that can transform. But suddenly, he noticed the cold sweat forming on the back of her neck. Yes. Even though she might not know the exact level of the man in front of them, she understood that he was a terrifying being. Despite that, she still spoke confidently. Jo-Yeon saw a reflection of Wal-Bai in her appearance. Ah, my friend, you truly live on within your disciple. It's when Jo-Yeon felt crushed by the pressure of impending death and saw Wal-Bai's image. Ho do you hata. The man started to laugh. He patted Jo-Yeon and Ha-Yoon on their shoulders. It seems there's been a misunderstanding, my friends. I haven't come to hold you accountable. In fact, I came to thank you for cleaning up some waste product, Chinese letter. Waste product? Jo-Yeon and Ha-Yoon's eyes twitched. The man chuckled heartily and said, What you killed was just a waste product that escaped while I was perfecting a secret art to great completion. I was about to deal with it myself, since it would have been troublesome if the remnant was seen by the Zhou or One clans, but you two saved me the trouble. I should be thanking you instead. That's why I came to ask for your names to express my gratitude, so please relax. Ho. The tension between Jo-Yeon and Ha-Yoon eased slightly at the man's words. But not completely. The two exchanged glances before speaking. My name is Jo-Yeon, Chinese letter. My name is Ha-Yoon, Chinese letter. But upon hearing their names, the man fell silent for a moment. Jo-Yeon and Ha-Yoon anxiously glanced at each other and then at the man. Suddenly, the man muttered to himself. But his words were clear to the ears of both of them. Yeon, Chinese letter, is that it perhaps? Then what's that thing stuck to it? Could a lowly thing have attached itself due to a twisted fate, Chinese letter? The man's unfocused eyes flicked back and forth between the two of them. Jo-Yeon and Ha-Yoon both felt a chill run down their spines. Those eyes looked at them as if they were lifeless objects, not people. What is he planning to do to us? It's when Jo-Yeon grew me anxious. The man suddenly smiled faintly and asked, Are you two by any chance lovers? Their faces flushed at the question. That's correct. Yes, we are, senior. Haha, I see. In that case, would you two consider breaking your connection and parting ways? Jo-Yeon shot up from his seat. I apologize, but that will be impossible. Why is that? Because I cannot sever my feelings for my beloved. No matter how much you threaten us, that will never change. The man seemed to ponder Jo-Yeon's words for a moment, then suddenly grabbed Ha-Yoon's shoulder and whispered in her ear. If you spend one night with me immediately, I will make you my consort, Chinese letter, and ensure you live a life of abundance. You will be able to live for another 1,000 years and experience all the finest things the mortal world has to offer. What the? Jo-Yeon's face turned bright red with anger. The man's eyes split vertically. And most importantly, if you come with me now, I won't kill the two of you. Kagagugugu. An overwhelming pressure filled the entire inn. Jo-Yeon could hardly breathe under the man's oppressive force, and Ha-Yoon too was barely holding on, panting as she deflected the intense aura. Now, make your choice. Die here a dog's death or come with me and secure a happy ending for the both of you. And the next moment, Jo-Yoon's eyes bulged wide. Slap. Ha-Yoon had slapped the man across the face. Her entire body was ablaze with protective gang chi as she resisted the man's pressure, and her hands shone brightly with hang gang. Grinding her teeth, Ha-Yoon spit out her words. If Senior continues to harass us, I choose to die right here. The one who has truly loved and accepted me is this man surnamed Joe, and once I accepted his heart, I never had any intention of accepting anyone else. Please stop insulting us and quickly kill us if you must. The man rubbed his slapped cheek, looking at the two with amused eyes. Then he smiled faintly again. How interesting. My secret art definitely worked, but your emotions are taking precedence. Ho ho, in that case I'll make a proposal. Does the distinguished person have any plans of changing your name in the future? The man looked at Ha-Yoon and asked. She seemed puzzled by the question and replied. Who knows, I'm not sure, but I suppose no one can predict the future. Very well, then I'll leave it at that. I'll take my leave for now. The man lifted his hands from their shoulders and turned around. To the man turning around, Ha-Yoon called out to him. I don't know why you are doing this to us, but if you truly wish to take someone as your consort and receive their love, please treat people with sincerity. If Senior continues with that attitude, Senior will never receive genuine love. Wooduk. At Ha-Yoon's words, the man suddenly stopped and looked back at her. Chills. Ha-Yoon and Jo-Yoon felt danger to their lives. For a brief moment, a vision flashed in their minds of their bodies being torn apart. It was the lingering echo of killing intent that had passed over them. The man chuckled as he clutched his head. My apologies. A momentary flaw appeared in the secret art I've learned which allowed some killing intent to leak out. Well then, I hope the two of you continue to live harmoniously and happily. The man smiled faintly, glancing at Ha-Yoon. And miss, it would be wise for you to watch what you say in the future, though I wish the best for both of you. Who knows? A slip of the tongue could lead to a horrible end, one even I can't imagine. Ho ho. With that, the man descended the stairs, still with a smiling face. For a long while the two of them stood frozen in place, unable to move. It wasn't until a fishy smell reached their noses that they finally stirred. Jo-Yoon looked down at the inn below. The majority of those who had remained in the inn became pancakes, with their bodies exploded. It seemed they had been unable to withstand the man's earlier pressure and had died. With grim faces, Jo-Yoon and Ha-Yoon left the inn without saying a word, leaving the village and flying off on their flight magic artifact to escape for a long time. Fortunately, no one followed them. Yet Jo-Yoon and Ha-Yoon could not shake the ominous and foreboding feeling they had when they encountered the man. Did I say something wrong? Ha-Yoon spoke with a bitter expression as they hovered in the air. It's just that. He seemed like someone who wanted to be loved, so I thought I'd offer him some advice. Love, you say? Jo-Yoon shuddered, recalling the man's dull eyes and lifeless intent. Having only just begun to grasp the consciousness method, Jo-Yoon could barely perceive the color of the man's intent. Thus, he was able to recall the man's intent. The man's intent was incredibly cold and heavy, exuding a chilling sense of foreboding. Jo-Yoon had never before sensed the intent of a being that screamed so much in agony. To me, he seemed not like someone who wanted love, but like someone who had gone mad. He felt as if he had no heart at all. The two talked as they piled stones, in memory of the mortals who had died in the inn. They were too terrified of that being to return to the inn and retrieve the corpses. Is that so? Well, we can have different perspectives. By the way, there was something I wanted to say in the inn, but we were a bit interrupted. What is it? After they finished stacking the stones and offered a brief prayer, Ha-Yoon turned to Jo-Yoon and spoke. Would you spend the rest of your life with me, older brother Joe? Nah. Jo-Yoon looked at her and let out a hollow laugh at his own pathetic self. Thinking back, hadn't he intended to propose first? In the end, she beat him to it. With a bitter smile, Jo-Yoon took Ha-Yoon's hands in his. I will live together with you for 100 years, no, 1,000 years. I will grow old with you and will die together on the same day and same time. Is that so? Thank you. Ha-Yoon smiled softly. Jo-Yoon, shaking off his bitter smile, broke into a full, radiant grin. For our official wedding, how about we hold it at that place? Which place? Where we first introduced ourselves. Ha-Yoon's eyes sparkled at Jo-Yoon's suggestion. Ah, that place. Yes, when spring comes and the flowers are in full bloom, let's choose an auspicious day and hold our ceremony in front of the quince tree. Hyun blushed and nodded at Jo Yeon's words. That sounds wonderful. It's autumn now, so in half a year the quince flowers will be in full bloom. We'll wait until then, and though it may be modest, we'll choose an auspicious day and hold the ceremony together. Yes, on that day at that moment, let's truly become one. At Hyun's words, Jo Yeon smiled as if he had gained the world. TS. On his face, patterns of 7 colors emerged. 2 patterns that had been halfway merged fully combined, leaving only 6 patterns on Jo Yeon's face. As they decided on the date, the two began preparing for their wedding gifts. Jo Yeon borrowed Immortal's forge to pour all his talent into crafting the most fitting gift for her, while Hyun honed her martial skills even further. It was to undergo another complete transformation. When she had undergone her first transformation, she had left the burn scar to remind herself of Wal Bai's vengeance. But now she had avenged Wal Bai within the limits she could. Thus, she no longer needed the scar. To become one with Jo Yeon in her most beautiful form, she dedicated herself entirely to undergoing a complete transformation once more. And a month after the two had promised to marry, Jo Yeon was taken away by the Jo clan. What? Jo Yeon stared at the clan's core formation elder in bewilderment. What do you mean by that? Can you not even understand speech, you foolish thing? Didn't I tell you that the clan head is formulating a grand plan? The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Black Ghost Valley, and the Grasslands Tribe Alliance. The east is too far, so it's difficult to make any moves there, but we're gathering all the nearby forces. I'm saying an empire that spans the entire continent will be created. Yes, I understand that, but what? Did I not say you are to soon enter into an arranged marriage with one of the late-stage disciples of Black Ghost Valley? So stop your wandering and prepare for your wedding. Please wait a moment. I am not fit for marriage. As you know, Elder, I'm a hunchback and my appearance is unsightly. You are an extraordinary pattern law talent. That too, initially a 7 pattern law talent, but after recent confirmation, you've evolved into a 6 pattern law talent. An extraordinary pattern law talent can only be born from the Jo clan's pure bloodline. Moreover, for the talent to evolve to a higher stage means that your bloodline is even more pure and talented than most. As your bloodline is close to that of a direct descendant, your appearance is of no concern. But Jo Yeon swallowed hard. A direct descendant of the clan. Had the clan ever once treated him like a direct descendant? If they had, he wouldn't have been doing something like wandering in the first place. Jo Yeon decided to appeal not with logic or profit, but with emotion. I've already promised to marry someone else. Who is it? Perhaps someone from a major sect. No, it's not that. Although she's just a martial artist, she has exceptional talent. Kwang. Kehyak. Jo Yeon coughed up blood as he was crushed by an overwhelming pressure. The core formation elder glared at him, with his face twisted in fury. You, filthy thing, engaged to a beast. Not even a branch member, but an extraordinary pattern law talent, the face of the clan, engaged to a beast. You wretch, watch your mouth. If word gets out that you've been playing house with a beast, the Jo clan will be the laughingstock of the world. Listen carefully, you fool. Mortals are not the same humans like us. They're beasts' livestock. To borrow the phrasing of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, they are non-human. There's already some dissatisfaction from Black Ghost Valley due to your hideous appearance. But if it's revealed that you engaged in bestiality, your arranged marriage will fall apart. The core formation elder continued to shout furiously. The chi-building cultivators who have gathered in front of the elder for the arranged marriages, with the late-stage disciples of Black Ghost Valley, all sneered at Jo Yeon. Engaged to a beast. Insane, his twisted lust matches his grotesque appearance. He is so disgusting that I have no words, Keek. Jo Yeon grinded his teeth at the jeers of the crowd. As the elder said, I'm a hunchback with a hideous appearance, but... He looked the elder straight in the eyes and spoke. She is not a beast. She is undeniably a person. The elder was taken aback by Jo Yeon's words and replied. Crazy thing. You call a beast a person. Not only did you mate with a beast, but now you see them as a person. You lunatic, do you even understand how much benefit is tied to this political marriage? Although your partner also has many issues with relationships with men, she's still the daughter of one of the cursed lineage elders of Black Ghost Valley. If this political marriage is so important, then please, Have a younger and more handsome late-stage cultivator take my place instead of a hunchback like me. I am unworthy of marrying someone as distinguished as the daughter of the cursed lineage elder. You fool, do you even realize how much they want the extraordinary pattern law talent? Anyone with this talent must participate in this marriage. Are you really going to forsake the grace the clan has given you all these years over your twisted affection for some beast? Do not make the clan a laughingstock. Remember how much you've benefited from the clan as you've grown and walked the path of cultivation. At the elder's fierce reprimand, Jo-Yon bit down hard. The clan's grace. What did he receive again? He recalled his father, who had beaten him since childhood, the clan members who tormented him when he moved to the main family, and the adults who kicked him away in disgust whenever they saw him. The spirit stones and elixirs he had been allotted were always stolen by his peers. Even the 3 pills meant to help him reach the chi building stage were taken by his relatives. In the end, he had to buy a leftover pill, a building emptiness pill, from the market just to break through to the chi building stage. And wasn't it the Zhou clan that killed his closest friend? Jo-Yon had always harbored resentment towards the clan, but now, hearing them speak of grace, while insulting Ha-Yun, it made him lose control. Do not insult her. Who are you calling a beast? She is a martial artist who knows righteousness and a person who embraces benevolence. The real beasts are those within this clan who treat branch members like mere test subjects. Enough. Quang. Jo-Yon coughed up more blood, silenced by the elder's roar. He's completely lost his mind, completely bewitched by that beast. This won't do. Hear me. Lock this madman in solitary confinement and watch him closely. Do not release him until the political marriage is settled. The elder glared at Jo-Yon as he spoke. Whether you like it or not, you will sacrifice yourself for the clan. You carry the blood and surname of the Zhou clan. You were born with the great extraordinary pattern law talent, and the clan has supported you up to the chi building stage. If you've enjoyed the benefits, you must know how to repay the favor. The political marriage will take place this winter. Until then, stay in solitary confinement and sort out your emotions. W8. Jo-Yon tried to resist, but the clan's chi building stage cultivators rushed in, subduing him and dragging him away. Please wait, elder. I cannot go through with this marriage. I've made a promise with her. However, his pleas fell on deaf ears, and he was locked away in solitary confinement. Jo-Yon stared out in a daze from within the cell. The room was covered in an impenetrable barrier, making escape impossible. Jo-Yon gritted his teeth. No, this couldn't happen. He had to be with her. No. Quang. He pounded the wall with his reddened eyes. Quarrung. But as he raged, the barrier activated, triggering a spell that shocked his consciousness. Koog. Jo-Yon opened his eyes in anger, his consciousness reeling from the impact. This is. When his consciousness collided with the barrier, he felt his mind become strange. He instinctively understood. This room's barrier was designed to brainwash him. A brainwashing barrier created to make him dedicate his body and soul to the Zhou clan. Bujujuduk. Jo-Yon was certain. If he remained trapped here until winter, he would go completely mad, forgetting her and becoming a mere puppet obeying the clan's commands. I must escape before the wedding date arrives. He began analyzing the barrier and pushing the consciousness method he had been developing to evolve even further, so that he would never be brainwashed, so that the person called Jo-Yon could remain true to himself, and so he could break this room's barrier. Time passed quickly. Finally, winter approached, and Jo-Yon was visited by the elder who came to his solitary room. Have you regained your senses a little now? Yes, elder. I think I temporarily lost my mind and did something disgraceful. Please forgive me. I will follow your orders properly from now on. Jo-Yon's eyes appeared somewhat dazed and vacant. The elder looked at him with satisfaction and smiled. Very good. The disciplinary barrier provided by the Sea Dragon clan was well crafted. The wedding is only a few days away, so be prepared. It might be best to get you dressed ahead of time. Hear me. At the elder's command, the Zhou clan servants came in and changed Jo-Yon's clothes. He was dressed in the Zhou clan's traditional wedding attire, a clean light pink silk robe. The elder nodded approvingly as he observed the sight. Even a hunchback looks somewhat presentable when dressed like this. Haha, now spend a few more days facing the wall and composing your emotions. Soon, we will become in-laws with the Black Ghost Valley's cursed lineage. The elder spoke with satisfaction, before leaving the solitary room. However, once the elder left, Jo-Yoon's gaze changed. With sharp eyes, he extended his consciousness. TSDSDSDSDSDSDSDS. Threads of his consciousness filled the room. Jo-Yoon focused his mind on the consciousness threads, bringing his hand to the floor. Wowung. His threads of consciousness clung to the ceiling, walls, and floor of the solitary room, starting to draw a strange circuit. It's still incomplete, but I can at least break the barrier. Wowung. Jo-Yoon's circuit seized control of the barrier. And at a certain moment, flash, Jo-Yoon fully took control of the barrier and discreetly dismantled part of it without leaving any trace. It's done. He smiled with exhilaration and finally stepped outside. It seems the vigilance has weakened since the elder visited. After surveying his surroundings and confirming no one was around, he skillfully slipped out of the Jo clan. Though the clan's barrier formations repeatedly blocked his path, Jo-Yoon used his unique consciousness method and circuits to break through them. It was late at night. Taking advantage of the darkness, he finally escaped the Jo clan's territory completely. It's done, I did it. After escaping the Jo clan's territory, Jo-Yoon quickly boarded a flying magic artifact and sped off towards Shengzi. The arranged marriage date is approaching soon. Before then, I must marry her. Jo-Yoon knew. Eventually, both he and she would be captured again by the Jo clan. It was likely they couldn't avoid the arranged marriage. However, Jo-Yoon, even if that were to happen, at the very least wanted to marry her first. To marry some unknown female cultivator from Black Ghost Valley, only to later marry her in a second wedding. That can never happen. Even if he must see his friend Walbai, who already went to the afterlife, Jo-Yoon flew swiftly, determined to hold his first wedding with Wal Ha-yoon no matter what. Payet. Soaring through the dark night sky, Jo-Yoon finally arrived at a secluded corner of a forest. As soon as he arrived, his eyes reddened. Midwinter. Beside a quince tree, stripped of all its leaves. There, Ha-yoon was living in a small cabin she had built. It was to keep the promise they had made to hold their wedding in front of this quince tree. Jo-Yoon stepped into the cabin. Hoo-la. Ha-yoon's face turned to surprise when she saw him. For a moment, the two silently looked at each other. Though no words were spoken, the meaning was conveyed. Jo-Yoon and Wal Ha-yoon ran to each other and embraced tightly. I missed you, Jo-Yoon said. I missed you too, she replied. For a long while after those words, the two remained silent. And then after some time, Jo-Yoon spoke. The clan is trying to make me the subject of an arranged marriage. He spoke, holding Ha-yoon's shoulders. There's no way to avoid it. The Jo clan is the continent's foremost clan. Even if we run, they'll eventually track us down. But we can still become husband and wife. Jo-Yoon met Ha-yoon's gaze with burning eyes. Let's hold the wedding today. Though I'll be captured again and forced into the arranged marriage, you will be my first wife. No matter how grand the arranged marriage may be, the person I marry will only be the second wife. The two held hands tightly. Even if it's my fate to go through with the arranged marriage, within that fate, I will regard you as my first. So, though it's unprepared, and though the ceremony can only be inadequate. As he spoke, Jo-Yoon's eyes turned red. Things hadn't turned out the way he had hoped. He had wanted to set an auspicious date for their wedding, watching the spring flowers in the warmth of spring, but now they had to hold the ceremony urgently in the middle of winter. The situation itself felt unreasonable. Still, he wanted to form this connection with her no matter what, even if it had to be like this. Will you marry me? Ha-yoon, hearing Jo-Yoon's sincere words, also teared up. Yes, I've always been ready to be with you, whenever and however. She took Jo-Yoon's hand and brushed it against her face, where the burn scar had once been. In the past few months, she had managed to undergo another transformation, successfully erasing the burn mark. Jo-Yoon and Ha-yoon stepped outside the cabin. Outside, in front of the quince tree that had saved their lives, where they had first introduced themselves. The two placed a bowl of cold water before the quince tree. Ha-yoon looked at the quince tree with a bittersweet expression. I wanted us to be united when the spring flowers were in full bloom, but fate doesn't seem to allow it. At Ha-yoon's words, Jo-Yoon gazed at the bare, leafless quince tree. Then right there, he took off the clothes he had been wearing. The traditional wedding attire given to him by the Jo clan, meant for the arranged marriage with the female cultivator from Black Ghost Valley. He stared at the light pink silk robe for a moment before, without hesitation, started tearing it apart. Rip, rip. With quick movements, he shredded the silk robe. After a short while, Jo Youn's silk robe had turned into dozens of strips of light pink thread. Jo Youn swiftly climbed the quince tree and tied the pink threads to each branch, one by one. Although no flowers had bloomed, the sight of the quince tree adorned with dozens of pink threads was quite beautiful. Jo Youn climbed down from the tree and smiled faintly. I'm sorry this is all I can do, but still, this is my version of spring. He looked at the many pink threads fluttering in the winter wind and gave a bitter smile. It's strange, it's too strange, I'm sorry. But Ha-Yun shook her head. I told you it's not strange, it's wonderfully mysterious, it's beautiful. Ha-Yun smiled brightly as she looked at the tree. It's wonderfully mysterious and beautiful, just like you. With the bowl of cold water and the many light pink threads adorning the quince tree, the two held their wedding ceremony. We offer our respects to the divine spirits of heaven and earth. The night passed, and dawn began to break in the distance. At the time when the moon set and the sun rose, Jo Youn and Ha-Yun made their vows before the sun and moon. We swear before the 8 lights who have governed blessings since the very beginning of time. We swear before the mountain god, earth god, and all the gods of the heavens and the underworld. From now on, under the eyes of the divine spirits of heaven and earth, we will be bound together as one. We will grow old together, living for 100 years, 1,000 years, side by side. When their hair turns white, so will mine. When they fall into madness and roll in the mud, I will roll in the mud with them. If they commit a sin and fall to the depths of hell, I will follow them to the bottom. Whether in paradise or in hell, we will always be together. We ask the heavenly God, mountain god, snake god, and all the gods of heaven and earth and the heavens to bless us, so that we may become paired winged birds flying together in the sky and intertwined branches planting roots together in the earth. TL/N. Paired winged bird, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, also known as Bianeo, is a mythical bird in East Asian mythology that only has one eye and wing, so it needs to pair with its mate in order to fly. The two, having followed the simplified wedding rites, shared the bowl of cold water under the dawn light, each drinking half. Then they held each other's hands. The wind blew around them, as if blessing the couple. And so, while Ha-Yun and Jo Youn became husband and wife. Thank you for being with me. One day, I will properly marry you. This is already more than enough. It's me who's. It was when the word husband was about to escape her lips. Quang. Intense heat melted all the nearby snow and burned all the trees. Kagagugugu. An overwhelming heat filled the surroundings. You bastard. The core formation stage elder of the Jo clan. The very one who brainwashed Jo Youn and pushed forward the arranged marriage with Black Ghost Valley. Pot Pababebed. Countless late-stage disciples of the Jo clan also appeared around him. You filthy, brainless bastard. In the end, you couldn't hold back and came here to engage in bestiality with livestock and heat. Fine, if that's what you want, I'll make sure to tear you two apart completely. If that livestock dies, then you will. Jo Youn didn't wait for the elder to finish his words and prepared a spell, aiming it at his own head. If you kill or harm her, I will immediately kill myself. What? I will accept the arranged marriage you've proposed. I'll even marry the cultivator from Black Ghost Valley and give you descendants, but you must promise to spare her life and not harm her in any way. If you don't, I will smash my own head and die right here. Even as an elder, you won't be able to stop this. Jo Youn spoke while glaring sharply at the elder. If more were born with the extraordinary pattern law talent, you could just kill us both now. But as far as I know, there hasn't been any recent awakening of the extraordinary pattern law talent. Jo Youn wasn't foolishly threatening his life without reason. He had thoroughly investigated before escaping from the Jo clan. You could kill me if you plan to break off the political marriage with the daughter of the cursed lineage elder. After all, what use is a mere chi-building extraordinary pattern law talent like me? So please, kill me right here and break off the engagement. You? Jo Youn knew. Over the years, he had eavesdropped on the conversations outside his solitary room using his consciousness method, and became certain. The head of the Jo clan planned to use these political marriages to elevate the clan into the royal family of the cultivator world. To do that, they needed an unbreakable alliance, and Jo Yone's death here would create a flaw in the clan head's grand plan. If another extraordinary pattern law talent had emerged within the last few days, they could have simply killed Jo Yone and replaced him in the arranged marriage. But that was impossible. The elder glared at Jo Yone with a face flushed red, while Jo Yone held Wal Hayun's hand and brought the spell closer to his own head. Finally, the elder shouted at Jo Yone. "Fine, you son of a dog bastard. I swear on my golden core, my honor, and the honor of the Jo clan that I won't lay a finger on your pet. I won't kill her or torture her, but—" With blazing eyes, he glared at Jo Yone and spoke. "To avoid any strange rumors from Black Ghost Valley, I will send your pet to the eastern end for a while. For the first 20 years of your marriage, the two of you will be absolutely forbidden from meeting each other. Understand?" 20 years. Jo Yone let out a low groan. It was a long time. Too long. But he read the elder's intent. This is the limit. If he pushed for more conditions, the elder might explode and kill Hayun right here. "I understand. In return, after that period, you must promise to let us meet again." "Fine, I'll promise that too. I swear it on my golden core, my honor, and the honor of the Jo clan. Is that enough?" Jo Yone also addressed the late-stage disciples behind the elder. "Please make sure that those who came with the elder also promise." At those words, they looked at each other, smirked, and nodded. "All right, we promise. We'll let you two meet again someday. We swear on our honor." "Truly." "Enough. Kagagugu." Jo Yone tried to use his consciousness method to read the intent of the late-stage disciples, but the elder's sharp shout blocked his technique. "That's enough. Enough with the chatter. They've promised in front of me, so they'll keep their word. If you keep doubting, I'll take it as an insult to my honor." "Understood." Though still dissatisfied, Jo Yone decided to trust the elder. Twitch. It was something. He felt a strange, ominous sensation from the elder and the late-stage disciples, but he dismissed it as a result of the tense situation and bowed his head. For some reason, it reminded him of the foreboding he had felt when he met that nascent soul-stage demon beast long ago, but he forced himself to accept the situation. This is the best option. Jo Yone looked at Hayun and embraced her. 20 years is a long time, but if we yearn for each other, it won't be such a long period. Yes, I understand. Even if 2 changing cycles of the mountains and rivers pass, my heart will not change. The two embraced for a moment before parting. Jo Yone headed back to the Jo clan with the core formation elder. Meanwhile, Hayun left with the late-stage disciples to the far east. She would be separated from him in the east for the next 20 years. Though it was far, Jo Yone swore with determination as he arrived at the Jo clan that he would go meet her again. One day I will see dear again." And 3 days later, Jo Yone heard an absurd piece of news. "A annulment, is that what you're saying?" The core formation elder nodded with an extremely angry expression. "Yes, it seems Black Ghost Valley investigated your past and discovered that you engaged in bestiality." "Crack." The elder glared at Jo Yone as he spoke. "If that had caused a crack in the alliance, I would have personally torn both you and your pet to pieces. But you're unbelievably lucky. It turns out your partner also made a grave mistake. The daughter of the cursed lineage elder from Black Ghost Valley. It was known she had a habit of frequenting men, but no one expected her to bring a man to play with the night before the wedding. The main family's grand elder discovered it, and as a result, the engagement was annulled. Originally, Black Ghost Valley was going to accept you as a favor to gain the upper hand in the alliance. But since we found such serious misconduct on their side as well, both sides were at fault, and we decided to annul the engagement without further words." Then, just as Jo Yone's face was about to brighten, the elder shouted furiously, "Don't get any foolish ideas. Your next political marriage will be arranged soon. However, because of the rumors of your bestiality, it will be harder to find a match." "Poog." The elder struck Jo Yone's face violently. "Poog, poog, poog." He continued to beat Jo Yone with his own hands as he spoke. "Consider yourself lucky, you piece of trash. If the other party hadn't been so promiscuous, I would have personally melted you and that beast down as materials for my Dharma treasure. Damn it, it makes my blood boil. Now I have to run around finding another match for this garbage." After furiously beating Jo Yone until he was near death, the elder stormed out of the room, saying, "Reflect on your actions, and you'd better raise your cultivation quickly. If you don't raise your worth, no one will be willing to marry someone who engaged in bestiality. If, because of your bestiality, you fail to secure an arranged marriage, I'll personally bring your pet and tear it to pieces in front of you." "Understood." Jo-Yeon bowed to the elder as he left the room. And then he made up his mind. "Let's raise my cultivation." This was also an opportunity. The elder had said that only by raising his cultivation could Jo-Yeon have a chance of marriage, but raising his realm also meant having more choices. Core formation. No, if I can reach grand perfection chi building, the clan won't be able to treat me like an insignificant bug anymore. When that time comes, he might not be able to avoid the political marriage, but no one would be able to stop him from living with Hyun. Being with a mortal is considered bestiality. So what? Among those at the grand perfection chi building stage, some of the truly eccentric practitioners of devilish arts even engaged in real bestiality. The elder probably thought that even if Jo-Yeon raised his realm, he would only reach the mid-chi building stage at most. However, Jo-Yeon already internalized insights on the level of core formation long ago in his youth. The only reason he had maintained his early chi building stage cultivation was because extending his lifespan too much would mean that no matter how many spiritual elixirs he gave her, he wouldn't be able to die on the same day as Hyun. But now was not the time to worry about such things. Even if I reach the golden core stage, extend my lifespan to beyond 600 years, and can no longer grow old together with Hyun, I must raise my realm now. Jo-Yeon swore that he would raise his cultivation, and from that day, he nearly shut himself in his room. Time passed. 5 years went by, and Jo-Yeon's marriage partner still hadn't been decided. The core formation elder had threatened to find Hyun and kill her if no partner was arranged within 10 years, but Jo-Yeon wasn't afraid. Woeing. Though he hid it from the elder, Jo-Yeon's cultivation had already reached the late chi building stage. Core formation is not far off. Even more, his extraordinary pattern law talent showed signs of evolving once again. Perhaps because he had spent the last 5 years diligently practicing artifact crafting and awakening his talent, 2 of the 6 patterns were showing signs of merging again. Because of this, the Jo clan was being more cautious in selecting a marriage partner for him, which had delayed the process. After the elder left, Jo-Yeon smiled faintly and resumed his cultivation. The day I can truly be with her is not far off. It was then. "Hey, hunchback." Late-stage disciples entered Jo-Yeon's room. Jo-Yeon looked at them with doubt. They were the same late-stage disciples who had witnessed him and Hyun with the elder that day. They had all married high-ranking members of Black Ghost Valley by now and held considerable status within the clan. One of them approached Jo-Yeon, patted him on the shoulder, and handed him a wooden box. "I heard your pattern law talent is about to evolve again. Haha, I really do wonder if you're the same fool from before. If you become a 5 pattern law talent, won't you finally be on our level?" One of the late-stage disciples, born with the 5 pattern law talent, put his arm around Jo-Yeon's shoulder as if they were close. He was the same late-stage disciple who had bullied Jo-Yeon the most since childhood. "I'm sorry for bothering you in the past. Once you become a 5 pattern law talent, you'll finally be a person, so we shouldn't hold grudges like before." With an unpleasant smile, he thrust the wooden box at Jo-Yeon. "Take it as a spiritual elixir." Suddenly, Jo-Yeon felt an inexplicable sense of discomfort and disgust rising within him. "What kind of elixir is this?" "You know it. It's an emotion advancement pill, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter." The emotion advancement pill. A pill created by the Jo clan, specifically for those with the extraordinary pattern law talent. It was an exceptional pill, its recipe known only to select few among the clan's alchemists. "My uncle is one of the top alchemists in the main family. I gave him some rare ingredients, and he personally crafted this special emotion advancement pill. He was thrilled, saying he'd never worked with such special ingredients before." The late-stage disciple said this with a subtle expression. "Come, eat it. Although the 6 pattern law talents are trash, the 5 pattern law talent is still useful to the main family, so you too will become a useful asset to the clan. You might think I bothered you a little when we were young, but it was all done thinking for your sake, to toughen you up, you know. So don't misunderstand." Jo-Yeon took the wooden box containing the emotion advancement pill, hesitating for a moment. For some reason, he felt a deep sense of discomfort and disgust. and as he hesitated, the late-stage disciple's face twisted into an irritated expression. "Hey, what's with that look? That pill took my uncle years to make. Are you disrespecting me and my uncle right now?" "That's not it. It's just giving something so precious to someone like me. You keep trying to refuse. Go ahead and eat one right here. If you keep disregarding our goodwill, we won't just sit still either. You know we have your pet's whereabouts, right?" "Leno?" Joe Yone's face darkened. He sighed and opened the wooden box. Inside, there were 3 pills subtly glowing with a pale pink hue. Precious pills that amplifies the talent of an extraordinary pattern law talent. Why would he give such a valuable thing to someone he bullied since childhood? Joe Yone looked at his intent. His intent was filled with a purple pleasure. Is this malice or goodwill? His consciousness method was incomplete. Even for Joe Yone, interpreting the enlightenment of 5 energies converging to the origin wasn't an easy task. He could barely see the color tones, and he could only barely guess at the intentions behind those colors. I can't grasp the exact intention. In the end, Joe Yone swallowed the pill in front of them. It didn't seem like it was poisoned. As soon as he ate it, a gentle energy began to circulate throughout his body. It felt as if a warm hand was softly caressing his body. Puehadahasa. Watching this, the late-stage disciples all burst out laughing at once. They seemed to be thoroughly enjoying themselves. Joe Yone couldn't understand their intentions. Good, really good, you hunchback brat." After patting Joe Yone's back, the late-stage disciples left his room, saying, "We'll leave so you can absorb the medicinal effects. Then, eat well and become a brilliant talent for the main family, you brat." Joe Yone stared at the door they had exited for a moment. Then he looked at the remaining elixirs in the wooden box. For some reason, he had a bad feeling. But still, I should eat them, because he had to grow stronger to seize an opportunity. If he became a 5-pattern law talent, the clan wouldn't be able to completely ignore his opinions. And if this emotion advancement pill works, perhaps. Joe Yone thought he could perhaps even aim for the 4-pattern law talent. If I become a 4-pattern law talent, maybe the family would allow me to live openly with Ha-Yun. I must. Joe Yone made a vow while looking at the pills. I will definitely be with her next time. Now was the time to raise his realm and talents by any means necessary. All to be with her. With that thought, Joe Yone picked up another pill and swallowed it. The 6 marks that appeared on his face merged together to form 5. Joe Yone muttered briefly, "Wait for me, dear." The medicinal effects of the emotion advancement pill were still swirling inside him. He felt that once he absorbed all of its effects, the path to becoming a 4-pattern law talent would open. "I will definitely come for you, to grow old together, to be with each other for 100 years. Joe Yone's eyes lit up with determination as he touched his chest. "Because that is what we promised." Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling. Above a massive body of a dying sea dragon, oozing with purple foam. There, a man wearing a bamboo hat with vacant eyes stroked the sea dragon's corpse with a grin. "Ho-ho, though I guided it with my own hands, the Joe clan is truly beyond imagination. I merely stimulated their nature and yet to go that far. But more importantly," his pupils split vertically. "In the end, if it turns out like that, it seems it wasn't what I'm looking for. Because that thing's setting, Chinese letter, is to die together on the same day and same moment." Clicking his tongue in disappointment, the man pulled something from the body of the sea dragon, whose eyes had rolled back in death. 5 years passed. Kagagugu. Inside one of the training cave residences of the Joe clan. A loud rumble echoed as heaven and earth spiritual energy surged into the cave. "What's going on?" One of the elders of the Joe clan looked towards the direction of the cave residence. This celestial phenomenon, could it be? As if realizing something, he flinched in shock and flew towards the training cave. A short while later, a powerful pressure of heaven and earth spiritual energy rushed out from inside the cave. Kagugu. The doors to the training residence opened, and Joe Yone emerged from inside. "And no, what is this?" The elder's mouth dropped open. The one who emerged from within the training cave residence was Joe Yone, the very person the elder had once threatened, saying he would kill his pet if Joe Yone failed to find a match. Seeing Joe Yone, the elder inhaled sharply. You've reached core formation, but more than that." He was stunned as he looked at the marks that had appeared on Joe Yone's skin. F4 pattern law talent. A 4 pattern law talent. How is this possible? A 7 pattern law talent evolved into a 4 pattern law talent. Even if you eat emotion advancement pills like rice, evolving the law talent isn't easy. How many times have you evolved already? But regardless of the elder's astonishment, Jo-Yeon simply smiled faintly. Have you been well, elder? I've broken through to the core formation stage, and even attained the 4 pattern law talent. Jo-Yeon gestured behind him. Inside the training cave residence, countless magic artifacts that Jo-Yeon had crafted over the years to evolve his extraordinary pattern law talent were piled up. I'll dedicate all these magic artifacts and Dharma treasures to the clan. With this much, elder, don't you think I should be able to choose my own marriage partner? The elder looked at Jo-Yeon with an incredulous expression, then sighed. Do as you wish. To think you were hiding such talent. It's surprising. Here, this is the magic artifact that records the location of that mortal you cherish. Whether you go to her or not is up to you, as I promised. Ever since that day, I've completely left her alone and haven't touched her. Haha, thank you. After thanking the elder, Jo-Yeon quickly went to the Grand Elder and the clan head to pay his respects. The clan head and Grand Elder's praise left through one ear, his mind solely focused on the moment he could go to see Ha-Yoon. Finally, when the clan head finished his words of advice and well-wishing toward Jo-Yeon made his request. Clan head, now that I've reached the golden core stage and attained the 4 pattern law talent, I believe I have the right to choose my own marriage partner. That is true. Do you have a prestigious clan or a disciple from a major sect in mind? I want to marry a martial artist. What? The nascent soul stage clan head's face turned red with anger and shouted. When I heard those rumors about bestiality or whatever, I thought they were lies. But to think you still carry such perverse tastes. Kagagugu. The clan head raised his aura in rage, but barely managed to control his anger as he sat back down. If you were only a 5 pattern law talent or merely at the chi building stage, I would have personally beaten you to death. But given your realm and talent, I won't kill you. Do as you wish. However, even if you keep a pet, you will marry the woman chosen by the clan. Thank you. Jo-Yeon nodded, dissatisfied but at least having gained permission. I'm confident I'll rise to the nascent soul stage with my 4 pattern law talent. When that day comes, no one would be able to stop him from officially marrying Ha-Yoon. Though the idea of spending only 100 years with Ha-Yoon was a bit regrettable, if he gathered all the rare medicines on the continent and raised her to the core formation stage, they could possibly spend 1,000 years together. With such dreams in mind, Jo-Yeon left the audience chamber and took out the magic artifact that recorded Ha-Yoon's location. As expected of the Jo clan, renowned for their genius in artifact crafting, creating a magic artifact that could track a single mortal's location was an all-too-easy feat. The elder must have made this just in case, but hasn't activated it once in 10 years. Jo-Yeon analyzed the structure of the artifact. It seems to track her movements based on her blood information and leads me to her location. The craftsmanship is unnecessarily high. Anyway, this damn Jo clan. If they have this level of skill, bestowing mortals a year of abundance. Though he harbored a slight grudge toward the Jo clan, Jo-Yeon felt as if he could fly. It felt like nothing but happiness awaited him now. Even the Jo clan, which he had disliked to this day, seemed to now give him a faint sense of belonging. Well, that's enough, let's go. The moment Jo-Yeon activated the magic artifact, wings sprouted from the round artifact, and it floated into the air. The magic artifact flapped its wings and headed in a certain direction. Jo-Yeon followed it using the flying escape technique. Since it'll take a lot of spiritual power to travel east, I should replenish with elixirs or spirit stones before. Then Jo-Yeon noticed something strange. The artifact wasn't heading east. It was headed toward a corner of the Jo clan's main family. Jo-Yeon's eyes widened. Wait, could it be? He felt a sense of disbelief. She wasn't in the east, but hidden within the Jo clan's main family. Then again, even for the Jo clan, a 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist like Ha-Yoon had worth as a bodyguard for their chi-refining disciples. That might be how they were using her. I think she was close by all along and I never knew. The main family must have controlled the information. No. Was it because I was too focused on cultivation and didn't pay attention? Regardless. The The magic artifact passed through the sparring grounds, cultivation rooms, the magic artifact refining chamber, and headed toward a secluded corner of the main family. It was going to the pill refining room. What's this? Joe Yon stared at the magic artifact that arrived at the front of the pill refining room, puzzled. Is Hayun inside? He carefully opened the door and stepped inside. Since even a core formation cultivator like him couldn't enter the pill refining room carelessly, Joe Yon proceeded with caution. As he opened the door, the magic artifact flew to a corner of the pill refining room. Dear, are you there? Joe Yon, with a trembling heart, followed the magic artifact. Then the artifact stopped. It halted in front of the flame vent that ignited earth fire Chinese letter for the alchemy furnace. Joe Yon briefly looked around. Hayun was nowhere to be seen. Is the magic artifact broken? He touched the artifact. But from the perspective of someone who had reached the level of the 4-pattern law talent, the magic artifact was not broken. He could feel Hayun's blood registered within the artifact. The chi within the blood was undoubtedly Hayun's, as Joe Yon remembered it. Joe Yon fiddled with the artifact again, muttering to himself. How strange, it seems broken, but I can't figure it out with my skills. It was then Joe Yon heard someone approaching behind him, yawning. Huam, combining medicinal ingredients isn't easy. Hey, wait, who are you? Joe Yon turned around. It was the same late-stage disciple who had given him the emotion advancement pill in the past. The late-stage disciple smiled with a cheerful face the moment he saw Joe Yon. Well, look who it is. Isn't it the hunchback? Haha, did you just come out of seclusion? How'd it go? Made any progress? I'm already at the late chi building stage without even going into seclusion. Let's see how far you, As he checked Joe Yon's consciousness and spiritual pressure, the late-stage disciple's expression changed. What? Then Joe Yon reached out toward the late-stage disciple. Clench. Grabbing the late-stage disciple by both shoulders, Joe Yon asked, Where is she? The late-stage disciple's face turned pale. How did someone like you reach core formation? Where? Crunch. He spoke to the late-stage disciple, who was babbling nonsense. Is she? Kug you. It was at that moment. Clench. Someone appeared in the room and grabbed Joe Yon's hand. Joe Yon looked at the person. The late-stage disciple's uncle. A grand perfection core formation stage great elder, just about to enter the nascent soul stage. Amazing. I didn't expect that hunchback my nephew mentioned would grow to this level. Where is she? Joe Yon asked him with a sharp glare. Before the great elder could respond, the late-stage disciple hid behind him and sneered. Haha, you mean your pet? Didn't we keep our promise? We said we'd let you meet her again. What? Over there, your pet is over there. The late-stage disciple pointed to Joe Yon's stomach. Joe Yon briefly looked down at his own stomach, then glanced at the flame vent of the alchemy furnace before turning his gaze back to the great elder. Finally, his eyes settled on the late-stage disciple. Say, you. A cold aura began to spread around Joe Yon. You, uncle. HMPH, you made a mistake. You didn't tell me he cared this much for a pet. The grand elder blocked Joe Yon's path and spoke. My nephew was a bit hasty, but you should understand. In the end, wasn't it just livestock? Besides, those 300 emotion advancement pills made from your pet were truly of excellent quality. The clan's late-stage disciples, the clan head, the elders, and even the supreme grand elders all consumed them and achieved remarkable improvements in their aptitudes. It must have died happily knowing it was of immense help to the Joe clan. If you have any complaints, speak up. It was a rather special kind of livestock, so we can compensate you. If you need another pet, we can bring a few more from the secular world. If you have no complaints, leave. The pill refining room is not a place for even core formation elders of the clan to enter recklessly. Joe Yon walked past the grand elder and left. He returned to his room in a daze. Then he looked down at his hand. Crunch. Joe Yon bit down on his own hand. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Blood began to flow from his hand. Crunch, 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 crunch. Joe Yon didn't care about the flowing blood, biting until his bones were exposed. Drip, drip. Red liquid began to flow from Joe Yon's eyes. He understood what he had eaten. Crack, 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 crack. He resented his own hand. He resented his mouth for thoughtlessly eating anything. Everyone. The four patterns on Joe Yone's face began to blur, gradually starting to resemble three patterns again. That day Joe Yone went mad. Everything else in his mind disappeared, leaving only a single goal: the annihilation of the Joe clan. With that as his sole purpose, he threw himself into revenge and madness. Around 600 years passed. During that time, many events occurred in the cultivation world. A young boy who found a secret manual on a cliff founded a sect called the Azure Heaven Creation Sect and opposed the Joe clan's influence. The marriage alliance between the Joe clan, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and the Black Ghost Valley began to weaken as a new generation took over leadership in those two sects. And around that time, the head of the Joe clan and the Council of Elders convened another meeting. The era of our Joe clan has arrived. The heavenly being stage cultivators of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, Black Ghost Valley, and other demon race factions all ascended to the upper world with the recent opening of the Ascension Gate. However, the heavenly being stage cultivators of the Joe clan, who possessed extraordinary pattern law talent, did not ascend. It was because of their heavenly punishment. Thus, the Joe clan naturally became the foremost power on the continent, possessing the greatest number of heavenly being stage cultivators. Over the 600 years, the number of heavenly being stage cultivators in the Joe clan had increased to 10. The clan head spoke confidently. Now, without a doubt, the Joe clan is the greatest on the continent. We can bring any sect to its knees by force, but the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, Black Ghost Valley, and others, sects with deep foundations that have senior members who ascended to the higher realms, if we forcefully annex them and those seniors descend, it would be disastrous. Therefore, we must proceed more moderately and absorb them gradually. What method do you think is best? The mass marriage alliance we held 600 years ago. Back then, we arranged widespread marriages between lower-ranked disciples of the clans and sects, forming a light alliance. But this time, we will establish an even stronger alliance. We will arrange marriages between core formation elders from each sect and clan, slowly bringing them into the Joe clan. That sounds good. As expected of the clan head. Truly, the genius who evolved the three-pattern law into the two-pattern law in the shortest in record time. Thanks to clan head, our Joe clan is experiencing an unprecedented golden age. Quang. Inside the meeting hall where the clan head and the grand elders were gathered. The door to the meeting hall suddenly burst open, and someone walked in. The clan head furrowed his brow and shouted, "Who do you think you are? How dare you barge into the Elder Council meeting?" Everyone quiet. The hunchbacked figure who had entered the hall shouted loudly. "From now on, I, Joe Yone, a descendant of the Joe clan, have something to say." Emily? It was Joe Yone. After scanning the meeting hall with glossy eyes, he ran a hand across his face. As the pattern on Joe Yone's face became visible, everyone in the hall was shocked. This. One pattern law talent. They all shot to their feet, grinning with joy. Amazing, a one-pattern law talent has appeared. How many thousands of years has it been since this happened? Ha, truly the age of the Joe clan is upon us. The clan head, his face brimming with excitement, shouted. With a one-pattern law talent, we don't need marriage alliances or anything else. We can just conquer everything. Well done, your name. Yes, it was Joe Yone, you've done well this. Shut up for a moment, I can't hear properly. But Joe Yone, showing no interest in the clan head's words, placed a hand to his ear as if focusing on a distant voice. Joe Yone's eyes flashed as he spoke. Good, then I will give you one last chance. Clan head, and members of the Elder Council, do you remember the name of my wife Wal Hayun, who died 600 years ago? At those words, the clan head and the grand elders exchanged puzzled glances. As the higher-ups of the Joe clan, they knew most of the elders at the core formation stage and above. But none of them remembered Joe Yone ever being married. Who is that? The clan head asked, puzzled. Joe Yone's eyes twitched. Yes, ignorance is not a sin. I will enlighten you. My wife was a martial artist. She was the disciple and adopted daughter of Wal Bai, the martial artist of 5 energies converging to the origin from the Wal clan of Biokra. Wait. The clan head shook his head as if he had a headache and interrupted Joe Yone's words. What you're saying right now is, That pet from 600 years ago was your wife. Well, I understand if you have strange preferences, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention acts like bestiality in such an official setting. After all, this is a gathering of elders, is it not? The clan head was displeased, but seeing the single pattern emerging on Joe Yone's face, he gritted his teeth. So, if you could just show a bit more formality. You all have two choices. Joe Yone crossed his arms and spoke confidently. First, you and I mobilize everything we have to find a way to see my wife again and beg for her forgiveness. Second, you go directly to where my wife is and ask for her forgiveness. A chill spread through the meeting hall at Joe Yone's words. So you're saying we either resurrect the dead or die ourselves? The clan head shook his head in disbelief. Haha, you're going too far with your jokes, just because you lost one pet. Crack. In the next moment, the clan head was split in half and killed. Not only his body, but even his nascent soul was cleaved in two in a single strike, leaving no possibility of revival. What in the world? Is this an attack? As the Grand Elders panicked, Joe Yone shouted again. Everyone quiet, quiet, sit down. You disrespectful brat, a clan elder has just died and you dare. Quang. The moment one of the Grand Elders were about to shout at Joe Yone. As expected, the Grand Elder's body was also split in two, just like the clan head. Only then did the Grand Elders fall silent, staring at Joe Yone. It was because they could see that the Grand Elder who spoke was killed at Joe Yone's mere gesture. One of the Grand Elders asked in a trembling voice. Just now, did you kill the clan head and a Grand Eld? Pugwag? The Grand Elder who opened their mouth was also split in two and killed. Joe Yone, his eyes gleaming wildly, looked around at the Grand Elders and muttered. I told you to be quiet. I can't hear the voice properly. This is your last chance. Will you help me find a way to resurrect my wife, or will you all die? For a moment, silence reigned over the Grand Elders. And then, quang, the ceiling of the hall was blown away, and 10 heavenly being staged supreme Grand Elders of the Joe clan appeared. We came because the clan head was killed, and what is this? The appearance of the heavenly being stage supreme Grand Elders brought hope to the eyes of the Grand Elders. Elders, you've arrived just in time. This madman is trying to stage a rebellion. That Joe Yone bastard killed the clan head. Please, elders, punish him. The Joe clan's heavenly being stage cultivators glared at Joe Yone and shouted. You bastard, do you realize your crime? Kirururung. The heavens roared. Heaven and earth's spiritual energy trembled. A terrifying pressure weighed down on the entire area. However, even under the immense pressure, Joe Yone sneered. I definitely said this was the last chance. Isn't that right, dear? The next moment, the heavenly being supreme Grand Elders and the nascent soul Grand Elders were startled to see a woman standing behind Joe Yone, emerging from the shadows. Grand Perfection Heavenly Being. When did such a high person appear? Ignoring the loud Joe clan, Joe Yone turned around and gently stroked the woman's cheek. The woman resembled Hyun. She looked just like she did in the final moments Joe Yone had shared with Hyun. Though there was no burn scar on her face, there were pockmarks, and though she appeared intelligent, her face was angular. Not exactly a beautiful face. She wore a pure white robe, and like when Joe Yone and Hyun had first become lovers, her face was veiled by a plain cloth, hiding her appearance. Joe Yone caressed her cheek. It was cold. He stared at the puppet in Hyun's form and murmured quietly. Just end it all for me, dear. The next moment, she became light and soared into the sky. Wielding short spears in both hands, she rushed at a heavenly being supreme Grand Elder, splitting him in half and killing him in a single strike. Achiok. This is insane. The realm of Joe Yone's body was merely at the Grand Perfection core formation stage, but she was a puppet who partially rose to the Grand Perfection heavenly being stage over 600 years. A masterpiece completed by pouring in all his obsession. Joe Yone, who had completed her, burst into maniacal laughter and shouted, Now then, let it all be annihilated, my clan. The Joe clan burned, and a great massacre ensued. It was caused by just one Grand Perfection heavenly being stage puppet. The tragedy was wrought by the puppet known as her. Please spare me, please spare me. Joe Yone smiled as he watched the clan's elders being dragged before him. Throw them in. In addition to her, Zhou Yong began controlling puppets at the nascent soul level to systematically destroy the clan. One grand perfection core formation elder was thrown whole into a refining furnace by a nascent soul level puppet. Guah Gorg, GRK. After some time, the grand perfection core formation elder emerged from the Zhou clan's refining furnace as a single pill. It was the emotion advancement pill, the pride of the Zhou clan. Gulp. Zhou Yong swallowed the emotion advancement pill. It was originally a pill made from grinding down mortals, taking several years to refine, but when it was made from cultivators, the refinement was completed in an instant. Zhou Yong smiled in satisfaction as he observed the quickly finished pills. Hey Zhou Yong, you remember me, right? I treated you so well. Zhou Yong looked at the late-stage disciple who had fed Haiyun to him, now dragged before him. With a gentle expression, Zhou Yong ordered the puppet. Rip out his tongue. Then, taking out numerous healing pills and elixirs he had taken from the Zhou clan's treasure vault, he said, and feed these to him so he regenerates. Repeat it until his mind breaks. Zhou Yong, with a relaxed gaze, began refining the entire Zhou clan into pills and swallowing them. They said she was turned into 300 pill and fed to the late-stage disciples and higher-ups. No one knew exactly who had consumed Haiyun. Thus, Zhou Yong made one decisive choice to retrieve Haiyun, who had entered the bellies of his clan members. You will all become one with me. A decision made to completely become one with Haiyun. Zhou Yong endlessly consumed the emotion advancement pills, which had surpassed even the highest grade due to being made from cultivators. Don't worry. And the more emotion advancement pills he ate, the more of his clan he devoured, the greater the madness took root in Zhou Yong's mind. I will never forget any of you. Zhou Yong used all his consciousness to remember every single member of his clan, screaming and wailing before him. After all, they were his blood relatives. You will all become one with my world. Zhou Yong firmly imprinted the images of the screaming people into his consciousness. It was to bear the original sin of devouring his clan. And with each person he consumed, Zhou Yong felt the noise in his head grow louder. His mind gradually filled with endless shouting and screams. Crunch. At last, Zhou Yong devoured all the members of his clan. The late-stage disciple, who had gone mad after having his tongue ripped out again and again, was the last to enter Zhou Yong's belly. Unlike 600 years ago when he had been half-mad, Zhou Yong was now completely insane. Hearing the resentment and hallucinations of his clan members, he shed tears. Are you all right over there, dear? He said, hugging her lovingly. Look, didn't I tell you that our clan members aren't truly evil people? Look, in the end they're racking their brains with me trying to find a way to meet you again, right? Isn't that so? Pretending to listen to the empty air, Zhou Yong laughed. Ah, see, my clan members are responsible people. They're saying how they'll be one with me like this and meet dear again to apologize. Meet dear again. Mumbling nonsense while grinning at the empty air, Zhou Yong grabbed her body. Then he shouted, Again, I want to see you again. He raised his voice in agony, looking up at the sky. Again, if I could go back to that moment. If I could return to the moment when I met you, I would never hesitate. Even if it meant dying together, I would run away with you while holding the wedding. We swore that we would die on the same day at the same time, didn't we? Right. So again. In his eyes, the moment he first met Haiyun was reflected. Every moment he shared with her flashed by. He recalled the words she had said to him. It's only strange because you perceive it that way, but in my eyes, yes, it's wonderfully mysterious in a way that's quite fascinating and beautiful. Strange Chinese letter / bizarre, and wonderfully mysterious Chinese letter are essentially differences in perception. For some reason, those words lingered in Zhou Yong's mind. Zhou Yong let out a voice filled with pain. Again, even if just once, I will recreate that moment. From the ruins of the Zhou clan, one hunchback who had lost everything and gone mad. Having consumed beyond the limits of the emotion advancement pills, he reached a place transcending even the one pattern law talent and vowed to recreate the one moment that had been the most valuable in his life. He swore before her, even if just once. That day, Zhou Yong hugged her in his embrace and was determined. Even though there was no difference between bizarre and wonderfully mysterious, he resolved that he would become a bizarre monster henceforth. recognizing himself as a monster, even if it meant pouring out countless sacrifices. He would wait for the day he could see her again. Only then, he believed he would return not as a bizarre monster, but as Jo Yoon from that wonderfully mysterious and beautiful time. He made that resolution. I am. Looking at her in his arms, he muttered. The father, Chinese letter, of monsters, Chinese letter. Contemplating his bizarre and hideous self within his madness. Jo Yoon thus became the Mad Lord, Chinese letter. TL/N. I mentioned way back that Mad Lord really means bizarre strange lord. Monster Chinese letter also means freak, and the first Hanya means strange bizarre. Chinese letter, which was just translated as father, is a formal and respectful way of calling someone their father in historical times. It can be translated literally as father lord. Hence, put together, it creates bizarre strange lord. Author's note. In yesterday's note, I announced that the Mad Lord episode would be finished in one chapter. However, as I added more emotional depth, the length increased, and it ended up becoming 3 chapters. I have no excuse if you accuse me of indulging in a character I favor. However, I really want to share about the character known as Mad Lord with my readers. I am well aware that melodramatic elements can be seen as a drawback in regression and cultivation stories. But even though it may be dripping with melodrama, I wanted to express this character called the Mad Lord. You could say it was the author's inability to suppress their own desires over the consideration of the readers. If there were any readers who found it boring, I sincerely apologize as a web novel author for not providing a faster-paced development. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks and love to the readers who have read up to this point. Always thankful, and once again, thank you. I peeked into the Mad Lord's memories, and I came to know of his life. As I regain my senses, the true bodies of the 7 esteemed ones of an era are in the process of being summoned around the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Quietly, I raise my sword and aim it toward them. Next to me, Coatrial appears with a faint smile. Ohaisio's aura has once again disappeared outside the bright cold realm. Now the only thing left beside the Mad Lord is Kim Yoon's consciousness. Coatrial smiles faintly and speaks. Quite turbulent, isn't it? The old man's life. Because of that state, I couldn't use tainted soul filling the heavens on him. I glare at Coatrial in silence and grip the colorless glass sword. At last, I understand the secret of Mad Lord's heart essence. The reason why I felt countless cries and screams, filled with agony, when I previously entered his heart essence. It was because Jo Yoon devoured the entire Jo clan, embedding them wholly into his consciousness, much like my own canvas of myriad forms and connections. No matter how much he resented them, it was still an expression of the Mad Lord's own guilt for killing his blood relatives. That is the true cause of the madness he harbors. You're the one who fed her to Jo Yoon, aren't you? Coatrial shrugs his shoulders. Ho, all I did was guide the Jo clan to separate her from Jo Yoon through tainted soul filling the heavens. The ones who actually did the deed were the Jo clan, who treated everyone outside cultivators as livestock. At his explanation, I let out a hollow laugh. They probably never truly understood why they were annihilated until the very end. From their perspective, they merely plucked a radish from the field they were cultivating. The cultivation world is truly repulsive. Leaving Coatrial behind, I charged toward the 7 esteemed ones of an era. In this world, the strong devouring the weak is not only considered common sense, but is rather regarded as the natural order. The belief that cultivation is essentially plunder is the law of this world and the absolute truth. As I face esteemed one Sui Ryon, who is spewing coral, I grit my teeth. O owner of Salt Mountain, the being who pushed forward the truth that cultivation is repentant enlightenment. I ask that being silently, is it not you who is wrong? Pugwag. With one slash, I fend off esteemed one Sui Ryon, the cut esteemed one Gwai Ryuk, and esteemed one Yuk Nyong who rush from behind. This world is insane. The notion that the strong eat the weak has gone beyond being considered merely natural and reached a level of madness. In this insane world, is it not you who proclaim that cultivation is repentant enlightenment, the one who is truly insane? I swing my sword, gritting my teeth. As I witnessed the Mad Lord's life, I felt it deep in my bones. There is no hope, not in this world or anywhere else. Watching the Mad Lord's life, where he devoured his lover with his own hands, I came to realize one thing. This world is ultimately governed by fate. And if that fate is the heavens, does that not mean that the heavens are a being that can become so cruel to a single person? If that's the case, then isn't this world under those heavens nothing but hell? The Salt Mountain who shouted repentant enlightenment was annihilated, while the owner of Great Mountain, who piled up mountains of slaughter, pain, despair, and grief, remains. Isn't that proof? Doesn't the death of the virtuous and noble Yu Hao Ti, while blood yin remains, also prove it as well? Clench. I grip the colorless glass sword even tighter. When hearts connect with one another, shouldn't that be an infinite blessing? There was a time when I thought that. But look, in this world, the connection of hearts can instead bring even more pain. Is it because my own pain has surfaced while watching the Mad Lord's past? Or is it because blood yin is amplifying my negative emotions? I swing my sword with a gloomy heart as I face the esteemed ones. I can sense the Mad Lord beginning to regain consciousness. But suddenly, a thought crosses my mind. Even if Yon's play is activated, the bright cold realm is already no different from hell due to the tyranny of the heaven and earth tribes. If that's the case, wouldn't it be not so bad to let blood yin consume? Taoist Seo. Flenching. I come back to my senses due to Seo Atrial's tainted soul filling the heavens. The stickiness of his tainted soul filling the heavens clings to my mind, preventing me from falling completely into darkness. Reflect on yourself. As he says, I reflect on myself. Blood devilish energy surges from my entire body. My eyes are not just bloodshot, they've turned fully red. I understand why my mind had briefly gone astray. The owner of the blood yin realm, the true immortal blood yin, directly took action against me, who is facing off the esteemed ones. I feel my mind gradually sinking into the darkness. Is this the power of blood yin? However, I don't feel the same fierce urge to escape blood yin's authority like before. Perhaps it's because I no longer feel the urge to deny the negative power that blood yin whispers. I simply search powerlessly for that divine voice that had once whispered in my ear. O Salt Mountain, in this world, what meaning does repentant enlightenment have? What meaning do you think? Reflecting on oneself means cultivating oneself. If the strong eating the weak is the truth and plundering is absolute, then eventually those who consider it absolute will also be devoured and plundered by someone stronger. Why are you here? But those who cultivate themselves and grow will, even if they perish, only perish due to their own selves. What they hold would not be taken from others. What they have nurtured will remain with them, even if the world itself perishes. A familiar old man with a goat-like beard is angrily scolding in front of me. So get a grip, you dim-witted thing. Flash. Upon seeing Ching Mun Ryong, I snap back to my senses. But as soon as I do, Ching Mun Ryong vanishes from sight. What remains is only the pure white light emanating from Buk Hyang Hwa's Norigi. I gaze at the Norigi for a moment and then smile. Was it Ching Mun Ryong who answered me through the Norigi? Or was it the owner of Salt Mountain who answered my question in the form of Ching Mun Ryong? I know the answer immediately. It wasn't given by someone else. It was something within me. The Ching Mun Ryong within my canvas of myriad forms and connections must have surely responded as such, showing me the vision as I have already come to that judgment myself. The Norigi was merely a trigger. One who grows by plundering from others will, in the end, also be plundered. But one who grows through repentant enlightenment will, even when the end comes, leave behind what they've built. Now I finally understand why the owner of Salt Mountain, who was said to have been annihilated, left behind so much authority. It's because they did not grow by plundering others, but grew by cultivating themselves, which is why so much still remains. What is gained through repentant enlightenment will never perish. TSA. A pure white light begins to radiate from my body. Somehow from far off in the distance, from beyond even the universe, I feel the glare of someone vicious watching me. But somehow I feel that this someone, though glaring at me, will not harm me. Though they may hate me, I feel they acknowledge me as well. Emboldened by that feeling, I drive out the heart demon awakening inside me. Hear this, Mad Lord. I speak to the Mad Lord, who is just beginning to regain consciousness. Kung. The forms of the esteemed ones in front of me begin to change. Purple soul filling the heavens. 6 harmonies fully blooming. Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Esteemed one hill gi becomes iron. Becoming a mountain of steel, they take their place in the western side of heavenly lotus mountain. Esteemed one Gwai Ryak becomes a river. Becoming a river of darkness, they take their place in the northern side of heavenly lotus mountain. Esteemed one Yak Nyon becomes a tree. Sprouting from a body made of red soil, they become a blood tree in the eastern side. Esteemed one Wyon becomes fire. Burning their body away, they illuminate the southern side of heavenly lotus mountain. Esteemed one Jok Hal becomes the sky. Becoming hideous stars that gaze down from above, they cover the sky. Finally, esteemed one Sui Ryon becomes the land. Kagagagugu. Their body made of red coral collapses, and coral begins to sprout across the entire continent of the bright cold realm. The mountain of irons hardens the corals, the river of darkness flows between the corals, the massive blood tree decays and nourishes the corals, and the flames provide warmth to the corals. From the stars that have become the eyes of the sky, I feel a gaze. It is no longer the gaze of Jok Hal. Obey me. Among the blood yin realm, 7 esteemed ones of an era. Except for Jiuqin, who was born in the bright cold realm and crossed over to the blood yin realm, all the esteemed ones who became so in the blood yin realm have lost themselves and become vessels that are no different than vessels for the authority of blood yin. No, their situation is even more wretched than becoming vessels, for they have lost themselves forever. O authority of Tridecna, Chinese letter, coral and shell. The red Tridecna, manifested from esteemed one Sui Ryon, spreads over the bright cold realm, dyeing the entire world red. I can feel it. Soon this world will become the blood yin realm. I speak again to the Mad Lord. Can you hear me, Mad Lord? The Mad Lord's consciousness returns. Recalling the enlightenment I gained upon witnessing the Mad Lord's life, and seeing the vision of Chengmun Ryong and overcoming the heart demon, I speak. You are a sinner. You plundered the lives and hearts of countless people to create the evil structure known as the wonderfully mysterious fortress. For your goal, you pushed hundreds of millions, trillions of living beings into the sufferings of hell. Therefore, you are undeniably a villain and a plunderer. There is no response from the Mad Lord. For some reason, his consciousness feels powerless. I raise my sword as I gaze at the world changing before my eyes. All around, monsters, including heart-heavenly demons, begin to appear. But these heart-heavenly demons are different from the ones before. Empowered by the might of blood yin, they possess even more terrifying authority as they eye the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Kugwagwagwang. The onslaught of blood yin strikes the wonderfully mysterious fortress. It seems as though there is a will to completely crush the wonderfully mysterious fortress, which has the potential to summon the power of vast cold. Your her, on the other hand, built everything up solely by herself, so. Even as I feel the terrifying army of heart-heavenly demons and the gaze of blood yin, I loudly convey my enlightenment to the Mad Lord. Within you, the power she has passed on her heart remains whole. I had thought the wonderfully mysterious fortress had regained its consciousness in front of me while fighting her and took her away. I thought some consciousness I hadn't known before had emerged in the wonderfully mysterious fortress. But no, I merely didn't hear it before. Your her has never once left your side, not even once. The heart I gained enlightenment on from seeing the vision of the Chengmun Ryong. The heart of a master remains in the heart of their disciple, even after the master's death. The heart of one who repentantly enlightens upon themselves while living, the heart that learns from one another, never disappears and stays within themselves. If that is the case, then the Mad Lord's her as well. Her heart must have remained within the Mad Lord, spanning over 2,000 years. The canvas of myriad forms and connections, through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, conveys the heart I gained enlightenment on to the Mad Lord's consciousness. The Mad Lord's gaze trembles violently as he receives my heart. Then tears flow from his eyes. Finally understanding the feelings of Kim Young-hoon of that time, who once told me to swing, I shout. Unfold it, it's already within you. The Mad Lord wipes his tears. He can feel it. Through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, his disciple is connecting Seo Yun-hyan to him. Through Seo Yun-hyan's consciousness, his heart is fully conveyed to the Mad Lord. Receiving a fragment of Seo Yunhyan's enlightenment, the Mad Lord rises and forms a hand seal. It would have been nice if someone had told me a bit earlier. A smile filled with indescribable emotions appears on the lips of the Mad Lord, Jo Yon. Did you call this entering heavens beyond the path? The realm Wal Hayun yearned for 2,000 years ago. Having received Seo Yunhyan's enlightenment, the Mad Lord can finally set foot into that realm. The wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, which he had believed to have reached great completion, now enters a new realm. Payet. The wonderfully mysterious fortress shines, and through Kim Yon and Jo Yon, Yon's play begins to unfold. The fortress's body glows, and golden branches extend into the air. The Mad Lord's fortress becomes a golden, ancient tree, illuminating the world of Blood Yin. Then the Mad Lord begins to dance. He looks at Kim Yon's consciousness body, which conveyed Seo Yunhyan's heart to him. In the eyes of the Mad Lord, who has reached great completion in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, Kim Yon's true heart is transparently reflected. Disciple, you too don't know your own heart yet. In that case, even though it is embarrassing to even call myself your master, still, as the one who carries that title, I will impart my final teaching through this dance. I will teach my disciple and depart. This last teaching to my disciple will be sufficient repayment for your grace. So, don't just rush ahead but look back at my disciple who follows you as well, Seo Yunhyan. The heart of Yon, Chinese letter / is thus, natural or to be expected. The heart of Yon, Chinese letter / fate. And the heart of Yon, Chinese letter / yearning. Entering heavens beyond the path. All combined, it becomes the heart of love. Heart of love, Chinese letter. The wonderfully mysterious past summoned by the monster husband unravels in the present. And the threads of the Mad Lord's consciousness begin to be dyed a light pink, scattering across the 4 directions and heaven and earth. From the tips of the golden branches of the wonderfully mysterious fortress, the light pink threads flow down, blossoming the Mad Lord's heart beneath the blood-red sky. Author's note, illustration has been added. Thank you, artist Phalos. Translator note, I can't seem to upload here but the artwork is in the Discord. Chapter 455, Full Blossom, Chinese letter. The light pink threads dance beneath the red sky. Clag, 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 clag. The puppets of the wonderfully mysterious fortress begin to move. The artificial souls of the puppets perfectly recreate the moment from 2,000 years ago, and the attraction force starts to distort space-time. Kriak. Jo Yon returns to that moment. Wowung. The Mad Lord and her. Together with Wal Hayun, they return to the evening of that day. The Mad Lord Jo Yon and Wal Hayun begin to dance, one holding a fan, the other a short spear. Watching them, I suddenly realize something that sends chills down my spine and open my mouth. I see. Jo Yon will likely realize it soon as well. TSS Sarah. While Jo Yon is dancing, threads of his consciousness flow down from the branches of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Each light pink thread of consciousness connects to each of our consciousnesses. The moment those threads make contact, I feel all the negative thoughts within my mind completely dissolve. TSSSS Sarah. The conditions of the comrades who had lost consciousness due to the amplification of the heart, heavenly demon and negative forces begin to improve as soon as the Mad Lord's consciousness threads reach them. The heart heavenly demons inside them dissolve instantly. The Mad Lord's entering heavens, heart of love, spreads far and wide. From the golden quince tree, thousands of light pink threads spread out, covering heavenly Lotus Mountain. Kagagugugu. Heavenly Lotus Mountain begins to tremble, and from somewhere a strange sound spreads, echoing through the heaven and earth in the 4 directions. A sound like something is screaming. And then, as I operate the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, I come to understand Jo Yon's enlightenment. I see, this is the realm of great completion in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. The wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon is essentially a method of turning the consciousness domain of cultivators, that are in the form of spheres, into threads, which are like those of mortals. By alternating the consciousness domain between the form of threads and sphere, it is possible to freely transform the domain's shape, manipulate puppets, and create artificial consciousness through the circuits of magic artifacts, which is the core of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Moreover, since it shares the same thread-like consciousness form as mortals, It can change the color of emotion and infiltrate the other's consciousness, making it seem like the emotion is theirs while being able to exchange heart language. Through the fully mastered, wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, I realize what its true potential is. The power to connect people. That is the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, the light pink threads begin to connect us. Between me and the Mad Lord. Between the Mad Lord and Kim Young-hoon, Jeon Myung-hoon, Oh Hyun-seok, Kim Yeon-shi-ho, and Azure Tiger Saint, and others, their hearts begin to link together. And as I connect with the Mad Lord's heart, I begin to understand the power of his entering heavens, heart of love. The power to manifest the phenomena within intent. A person's intent on its own is merely the color of emotion, but when it descends to the plane of chi, it can manifest as a fascinating phenomena or power. Once, when Kim Young-hoon explained his enlightenment regarding 5 energies converging to the origin, he demonstrated how the intent of anger fused with energy could cause gang chi to surge, and how the intent of love merged with energy could make gang chi to amplify. Of course, Kim Young-hoon didn't study the phenomena related to intent in depth, so he didn't gain a technique or entering heavens related to it. However, through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, the Mad Lord who observed the emotions of people for 2,000 years gained an entering heavens tied to it. His entering heavens, heart of love, has the ability to summon the potential of the phenomena contained within intent. I know. Everyone here who knows the Mad Lord sees the light pink sea rising in his heart. It is a heart of love solely for Hyun. That heart of love begins to manifest as a phenomenon through the Mad Lord's heart of love. Kagagagugu. Infinite. The most vast and powerful intent begins to unleash an unstoppable force. Yurung Yururung. Within Yeon's play where Jo Yeon is dancing, thunder and lightning roar from within. Yeon's play is unfolding in a perfect form that has never been seen before. Outside, Kim Yeon controls the flow, while inside, Jo Yeon draws out the power. I can see the pressure of that space undulating, driving out the negative authority of blood yin. Wung Wung. Suddenly, I feel a will resounding from beyond the sky. Not a chance. Kirarung. Keyok. I cough up blood. Just hearing that voice strikes my soul and body with an impact as powerful as a heavenly tribulation. It is already over. Unless vast cold returns alive, the bright cold realm is mine. The heart heavenly demons sing. Darkness flows like a river, and throughout the world, negative forces gather, giving birth to monsters. Then, Jo Yeon's heart of love touches Kim Yeon's consciousness body. Parrot. At the same time, Kim Yeon's consciousness body, which had been pure white until now, begins to be dyed. No, to be exact, it is being drawn out by Jo Yeon. It seems as though the colors inside are being pulled to the surface. Watching the scene, I smile. For some reason, an overwhelming sense of relief settles within me. I recognize this sight. From Kim Yeon's consciousness body, which has produced an entirely light pink consciousness body, it seems as if light pink flames are blazing. What I saw at the end of the 15th cycle, Kim Yeon's incarnation that appeared through Jayubik's vast cold oath, has now revealed itself through becoming one with the heart of love. Yeon's play is fully activated through that infinite power, and the light from the wonderfully mysterious fortress that had temporarily driven back the wicked power of blood yin begins to fade. Jo Yeon's life force is being drained. To summon the past, an incredibly overwhelming power is needed, more than the infinite power manifested through his heart of love. Not only his heart of love, but he is squeezing every last bit of his life force to summon the scene of his past. I briefly look at the scene of the Mad Lord's past floating above the wonderfully mysterious fortress and ask Coh. Is that all, Coh? Didn't you say that when the Mad Lord activates Yeon's play, things would get better? I ask Coh, and Coh responds through tainted soul filling the heavens. It seems he doesn't want to speak to me directly under the sky of blood yin. This is my first time seeing the Mad Lord's immortal art, so I am not sure, but I do know one thing. Through that, he has already directly summoned the power of vast Vald. However, the scene the Mad Lord has summoned is now acting as a barrier, trapping that power. In short, when the Mad Lord breathes his last and that scene fades, the power of vast Vald will naturally rise. Coatrial warns me. And if I've noticed this much, Blood Yin surely noticed as well. The erosion of the bright cold realm by Blood Yin is about 8/10 complete. They will begin attacking the wonderfully mysterious fortress soon, so prepare yourself. Understood. Kagagagugu. I can feel the entire world rejecting us. Ominous forces are pushing us away. From the west, a storm surges. From the north, a tidal wave crashes. From the east, heavenly tribulation pours down. From the south, lava erupts, all surging toward us. Kuwang. Heaven and earth are reversing. A technique like the one-beak wound once displayed reverses heaven and earth, trying to send the wonderfully mysterious fortress crashing down to the sky. 80% of the realm has been taken, and they are already displaying authority at the level of a sacred master. I glance back. The Mad Lord's life force is scattering, and his past is becoming faint. The threads of the heart of love that Zhou Yong created are gradually fading. As the power of love emitted by Zhou Yong's heart of love fades, the negative and wicked forces once again flood into the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Jiag. I begin forming hand seals. Until now, aside from when I fought Yuan Li, I rarely used curses with hand seals or invocations. The curses are already deeply embedded in my soul, and I became a curse sorcerer at the level where just thinking about it can curse my opponent. Even when I intend to use curses, battles usually end before I can fully unleash the power of my curses, so there has rarely been a need to use the curses' full strength. But today, I must draw out every potential of my curses, born from all my pain and anguish. Jiag, 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 jiag. A vicious curse blooms, and a veil of writhing eyes forms around the wonderfully mysterious fortress. The eyeballs occasionally form faces, trying to escape the veil, but they fail. Extinguishing Realm Ghost Curse, Reverse. The curse monsters, which have already become akin to the heart heavenly demons of Blood Yin, all begin to reverse simultaneously. The Mad Lord's heart connected to all of us. The hearts of people connected to each other, and we became one. Therefore, even though this may be the life of one who has suffered, at this moment, it is a blessing. Payet. A brilliant, pure white light bursts forth from 10 million flower buds, driving away the wicked forces. It's not over yet. I begin to use Foolish Old Man Moves Mountains. Wung. I infuse each move of Foolish Old Man Moves Mountains with blessings, with the power of vanquishing evil and upholding righteousness, and resist this negative and wicked world of Blood Yin. Kung. I feel my sword strike collide against the very principles of Blood Yin, the technique that grows infinitely stronger by absorbing the opponent's power. The flowers of blessings grow endlessly stronger alongside Foolish Old Man Moves Mountains, and the light becomes brighter and brighter. As I perform the sword dance, I glance back slightly. The Mad Lord's life force is fading, and Kim Yon is walking up to the highest floor of the wonderfully mysterious fortress, where the Mad Lord is meeting his end with her main body. I can't witness his final moments, so, the Mad Lord's last moments I leave them to you, Kim Yon. Weeing. Yon's play ends. The Mad Lord Zhou Yon looks at Haiyun in front of him. Haiyun is smiling with a blush. It is not the stiff body of a puppet, the one who had been with him 2,000 years ago. It is definitely her body. The Mad Lord Zhou Yon smiles as he looks at the blurring scenery around him. Even if it's just once, I wanted to return to this moment. The scene of the memories he longed for gradually fades, and Zhou Yon returns to reality. He feels the cold wind. He feels the sky shining. This is not the Seok village where he first became lovers with her. It's just the wonderfully mysterious fortress. The warm Hyun is gone, leaving only the stiffer behind. The Mad Lord looks at her for a moment, then turns his gaze to Kim Yon, who has reached the highest floor of the fortress. Have you come? Yes. Between us, there's quite a lot to talk about. Zhou Yon looks at Kim Yon with a gaze that says, I'm sorry, and smiles. I've done many unforgivable things to you. Even after that, I pretended to be your master and entrusted you with my long-cherished wish. I truly owe you a great debt. Kim Yon tries to say something, but bites her lip instead. Then she remains silent. It seems she intends to listen to him until the end. I won't ask for your forgiveness. You can resent me as much as you want, and for kidnapping you and modifying you at will, I have no excuses, even if I had 10 mouths. But even as a lacking master, I am still your master. He points to a certain place within the fading scenery of Yon's play. As your master, this may be the first and last proper gift and teaching I give you. In the direction Yon points, a single flower is blooming in the air. It is a quince flower. It is both a chief flower created by Wal Ha-yun's paired wing spear inside Yon's play, and at the same time, it is the goal Yon clung to for 2,000 years, even as he was tormented by madness. It is Yon's hope. Take it. Kim Yon walks towards the quince flower, the center of the fading Yon's play. As she passes Yon, she speaks. I hated you. Is that so? I still hold some resentment towards you. You kidnapped me at will, engraved the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon into my mind at will, and even etched stuff like circuits into my body at will. But Kim Yon closes her eyes. She too, along with Seo Yunhyan, Seo Atrial, and Oh Haiseo, saw Yon's past. At the end of Yon's past was, in the end, the answer Kim Yon had been searching for. The first and last Yon's play that Yon showed her. And his heart of love was undoubtedly the very answer she had been seeking. Therefore, even if I resent you, I will respect you. Even if I dislike you, I will revere you, and I will remember you. After finishing her words, Kim Yon walks past Yon and steps into the center of Yon's play. Yon collapses on the spot. Where he sits, Yon's play has completely dissipated and has fully returned to the wonderfully mysterious fortress. The puppet musicians who had been playing instruments stopped all at once. As their master's life fades, the entire wonderfully mysterious fortress comes to a halt. Clank. Using the last of his strength, Yon manipulates the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon to make her sit across from him. With trembling hands, Yon takes out a storage scroll from his chest. Seo Yunhyan had previously told him that Ha-yun's heart also resides within Yon's heart. Through the act of giving one's heart to another, I have come to be who I am now. What a remarkable enlightenment. To become who he is now, countless people have given their hearts to Yon. And among them, undoubtedly, Ha-yun's heart must also be there. Therefore, it was said that Ha-yun resides within Yon. In truth, we were already together. It seems so simple, yet it's something no one had ever told the Mad Lord for 2,000 years. To think my heart was put at ease so easily. What have I been doing for the past 2,000 years? As he closes his eyes, Yon takes something out from the storage scroll. If there is indeed a place called hell, I will surely fall to its deepest, most scorching and most agonizing depths. Yon himself knows. He is a devilish villain who spent thousands of years capturing and forcibly modifying countless living beings into puppets. An insane madman. His sins are unforgivable. Therefore, hell is a certainty, and he already accepted that. What Yon takes out is white red wine in 2 cups. I said before. With great difficulty, he moves his body, from which life force is gradually draining, and barely manages to speak. He is dying now. He will likely be dragged to the deepest pit of hell, but he has accepted that. Dying is fine. The only regret is, next time, together, let's hold a proper ceremony. Chiruruk. Yon places 1 cup in front of him, and 1 in front of her. He pours the white red wine. After setting down the bottle, Yon lifts the white red wine placed in front of her and drinks it. This is how the upper realm cultivators conduct their wedding ceremony. What he regrets is that he couldn't hold a real ceremony with Ha-yun. That is the only thing. After drinking the white red wine placed before her, Yon realizes that he has not even the life force left to lift a finger. In his gradually blurring vision, he gazes at her face. She cannot move either, her power source having been completely burned from unfolding Yon's play. It was a life full of sins. I expect to fall to the deepest pit of hell. However, I swear before the divine spirits of heaven and earth. With the last of his strength, he takes one final look at her. That in meeting you, in loving you, I have not a single regret. Creak. And then, creak, creak. Her hand starts to move. Though there should be no power source, she, who is nothing more than a puppet, is moving. Torn apart by the attacks of the heart heavenly demons, the puppet, which is practically in shambles, begins to move forcibly. Yon's mouth opens. Tears flow from his eyes. Creak, 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 creak. The pulleys and gears inside her are turning. And somehow, though it's unclear from where the power is even coming from, the puppet finally grasps for the white-red wine that Jo Yoon had poured. Creak. All this time, you were truly. Jo Yoon cries. You were truly there. She, who has always been controlled by someone's will, moves without any input from either Kim Yoon or Jo Yoon. In that way, she lifts the cup to her lips and pours the drink into her mouth. With that as the finale, the two puppets that performed the greatest play under the sun and moon finally come to a stop. The pattern that emerged on one side of the Mad Lord's face glows light pink and falls away from his face, scattering into flower petals. Kim Yoon bites her lip. Her chest aches. Jo Yoon's final emotions were vividly transmitted to her, who was connected to him. TSDSDSDSDSDSDS. She accepts the quince flower into her chest. And at last, she finds the answer regarding the heart she has been searching for. Love is joy. Love is hate. Love is sorrow, pleasure, and desire. Love is not everything. Rather, everything is love. The gladness Jo Yoon felt at the end. His longing, his relief, his sense of liberation, his possessiveness, his obsession. All of it was love. What is immortal cultivation? Someone once asked me that. As Kim Yoon feels Jo Yoon's heart, she realizes that she has suddenly arrived at a place she has never seen before. It's a peach blossom spring. A beautiful place where light pink peach blossoms are in full bloom across heaven and earth. They are hidden by a large peach blossom tree, someone speaks. Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment. They told me it is reflecting and cultivating oneself. I agree with that to some extent, but my answer was a little different. Looking at the being, Kim Yoon feels an indescribable sense of overwhelming emotions and beauty, along with awe and reverence. Immortal cultivation is progress. It's about being better today than you were yesterday. We are all always moving forward in some direction. Sometimes toward admiration, sometimes toward gratitude, sometimes toward affection, sometimes toward obsession, and sometimes toward sympathy. Kim Yoon flinches. The order of emotions recited by that being corresponds exactly to the sequence of feelings Kim Yoon felt towards Seo Yoon Hyun. It is neither the form nor the essence that changes. You struggle a little more than yesterday, contemplate a little more than yesterday, and continuously progress, gradually seeking a more and more complete form. Ultimately, isn't that what immortal cultivation is? So, don't blame yourself. She sheds a tear, as if her heart has been seen through. Even though her hidden feelings have been exposed, rather than feeling embarrassed, she feels a sense of liberation. You have simply been moving forward all this time. If you have come here with a clear heart not bound by delusion, doesn't that mean you have undoubtedly grown more than before? Just as the heaven, earth, and heart is one, but its expression varies. Your heart has, in fact, never changed. It's just that the way it was expressed is different. At those words, Kim Yoon finally breaks down in tears. She thought she didn't want to lose people. That's why she sought to understand love. That is why she has always looked at Seo Yoon Hyun. But she wondered, could this feeling in fact not be love? Could she have not gained anything at all? Is she in fact someone no different from Oh Hi Seo? That is how she had thought. But it wasn't true. Though the manner of expression may have changed slightly, it has always existed unchangingly. The being behind the peach blossom tree smiles and speaks. Never forget today. I'm the seat holder of End, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Tridecna vast cold heavenly king, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. TL/N. End here is the same end in Enders, as in the characters End Fate, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. It was confirmed by the author to be related to acceptance at fate's end. Suddenly, Kim Yoon feels an incredibly warm sensation like sunlight, as if that figure absolutely supports her. My soul may be black, 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 but my flesh will always support you. Kim Yoon feels as though a giant hand is gently pushing her away. Yet she doesn't feel rejected. Instead, only a cozy feeling seems to envelop her. Be cautious of what true immortals give you. They cannot gift you anything but misfortune. With those parting words, Kim Yoon realizes she has returned to the top floor of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Quince flower. She smiles as she gazes at the light pink petals fluttering around her. Come to think of it, that flower truly has many ties to her. Wasn't it on that day, in front of the tree with falling quince flowers, that she truly started liking Seo Yoon Hyun? Surug. Kim Yoon takes her stance. It resembles the paired wing spear of Wal Hyun, the fan dance of Jo Yeon, and also the paired wings dance taught by Seo Yoon Hyun. Kim Yeon's feet begin to move. She begins to dance, performing a series of connected movements. The internal energy method taught by Seo Yoon Hyun, the intertwined branches heart method, begins to whirl fiercely within her body. As her movements flow seamlessly from one to the next, she draws a circle. At the end of that circle, the energy subtly amplifies. In theory, this martial art was designed to draw forth infinite power. Of course, Seo Yoon Hyun had judged that for that theory to be realized, Kim Yeon would need to perform the paired wings dance several billions of times over. However, Kim Yeon found another method in her own way. Powerless. From Kim Yeon's body, thousands, tens of thousands, and even hundreds of millions of threads begin to burst forth. These threads connect to the hundreds of millions, trillions of puppets remaining in the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Then the puppets rise all at once, driven by Kim Yeon's will. Payet. The puppets begin to move. The puppets mirror Kim Yeon's every action. It is as if they are all dancing together. Inside the wonderfully mysterious fortress, trillions of puppets begin to perform the dance of paired wings in unison. All repeating the same movements, they connect. The circle is drawn. The circle within the trillions of puppets resonates with Kim Yeon, linking to the circle inside her body. This resonance grows larger and larger, until at last, the light pink energy of the entire wonderfully mysterious fortress converges towards Kim Yeon. Finally, Kim Yeon stops the paired wings dance and controls the immense rotation within her body with the vast cold heavenly circle, stretching her hand towards the sky. I like you. Like. And she will not name it anything else. She will no longer pity Seo Yoon Hyun, no longer feel gratitude, and no longer love him. Because love by nature has no name. Isn't there a saying, enlightenment cannot be established in words, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Just as enlightenment cannot be conveyed through language, love too cannot be described in words. Therefore, she will no longer say that she loves Seo Yoon Hyun. She will simply, in the clearest and simplest expression, like him. Kim Yeon, realizing that love cannot be named, and why her affection had been colorless, unleashes the power of vast cold raging within her into the sky, entering heavens beyond the path. Poet. Yeon's play is reactivated. In place of the quince flowers that couldn't bloom during winter, and instead of Jo Yeon's light pink heart tied to the old tree, the quince flowers of the quince tree, now reawakened by spring, begin to bloom profusely over the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Full blossom, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Accepting Jo Yeon's heart and unfolding through the power of vast cold, Kim Yeon finally acknowledges her own heart and smiles silently. Author's note: the flower language of quince flowers is ordinariness and passion. At the same time, it also means precocity, early maturity, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The reason why Jo Yeon's surname is Jo, Chinese letter / early, was set up that way for today. In the context of the story, it represents the maturity of Jo Yeon, Chinese letter / early fate or love, and can also be seen as a wordplay on the maturity of immature love. Outside of the story, it could simply mean, from now on, the supporting characters will mature, or it could just be me attaching the quince flowers meaning of precocity to the story. TL/N, Joyeon/ means supporting role character. Both Seo Yoon Hyun and Kim Yeon are symbolized by the quince flower. Seo Yoon Hyun represents ordinariness and passion, while Kim Yeon symbolizes precociousness. Although they share the same flower, they carry different symbolic meanings, making this episode for both of them, as well as for Jo Yeon. Finally, the Jo Yeon episode is coming to an end. After this episode, I will be transitioning from 7 updates a week to 6. Thank you all so much for loving Regressor's tale of cultivation thus far, and I, as well, always love my readers. I love you all, dear readers. Pazazasa. With the death of the Mad Lord, the patterns that emerged on his face grow pale pink and scatter like flower petals. And in the darkness where no light reaches, someone is watching the scene, their body trembling. Finally, as they began to tremble, a bright smile spread across their face. Finally, the Liberation Law talent Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter has been born. The key is now in my hands. That being, filled with ecstasy, gazes beyond the distant sky. Staring into the dark and empty sky beyond, they clench their hand. Now it's soon. Kagagugugu. The fully bloomed pink quince flowers rise above the wonderfully mysterious tree. I can feel it. Ting tingle. Even I, who has reached the second step before the throne, void shattering, can feel my breath stop at this infinite power. This is Dujujujujudo. The ground begins to tremble, and beneath the crimson coral-covered land of the bright cold realm, light pink flower dust starts to seep out. The scent of peach blossoms is carried by the wind from somewhere, tickling my nose. The power of vast cold. Flash. The entire world fills with pale pink light, driving away the crimson sky. Vast cold. The desperate voice, whether it's longing, despair, or anger, echoes beneath the sky. It's when Kim Yon starts to unleash her power. Weaving. 7 orbs of light rise around the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Those are the Mad Lord's masterpiece, the items she needed in order to rise to the star-shattering stage. Artificial stars. Originally, even if all the power sources of the wonderfully mysterious fortress were poured in, the half-complete artificial stars could only operate for 5 seconds. But now, beneath the quince flowers, it feels like the artificial star's power is fully recharging. No, even the 7 artificial stars cannot fully handle that power and are becoming overcharged. Kagagugugu. At the same time, the wonderfully mysterious fortress at the center of the artificial stars. No, Kim Yon begins to display the true power of a cultivator at the star-shattering stage. Pababebing. Absorbing the power of Blood Yin, Jiuchen, who had displayed immense strength at the late star-shattering stage, is flung far away. The wonderfully mysterious fortress, having absorbed the power of the 7 stars, begins firing its main cannons. Pabbing. With that one blast, the tidal wave in the north evaporates on the spot. The main cannons continue to fire. The fiery heat in the south, the lightning tribulation in the east, the storms in the west, all vanish simultaneously, and the world, overturned by the pink brilliance, is restored to its original state. Kiyi. The materialized heart, heavenly demons charge forwards all at once. Since they don't attack in one massive clump like natural disasters, the main cannons cannot take them all out together. However, Kim Yon extends her palm. Kagagugugu. It's overwhelming. No, perhaps it should be called tyrannical. A colossal force begins to gather in her hand. Her stance itself isn't particularly sharp or precise by my standards. However, as the power coalesces in front of Kim Yon, a quince flower starts to bloom. Flash. The dragon wave of the dragon race. No, perhaps it's more akin to the main cannon of the Nether crossing ship or the wonderfully mysterious fortress. A similar beam erupts with her palm strike, instantly shattering and killing the heart heavenly demons in a single blow. But that strike isn't the end. She continues dancing, sweeping away the heart heavenly demons without pause. Kim Yon's feet move. With each step, her dance flows seamlessly, her twin palms endlessly blooming quince flowers and unleashing beams in all directions. Chia. I inhale deeply, feeling the smoke rising from my entire body. The recoil of foolish old man moves mountains technique is settling inside me. In the past, just using foolish old man moves mountains would have guaranteed my death. But ever since I reached the integration stage, where my body has become a world itself, it only produces some smoke. Though if I really pushed it endlessly, I suppose I'd die eventually. I calm my breathing and look toward Heavenly Lotus Mountain. Ever since Kim Yon manifested the fully bloomed flower, an enormous murderous energy has been surging from deep within Heavenly Lotus Mountain. Is that the wedge Blood Yin planted in this world? That's right. Blood Yin drove a wedge into the depths of Heavenly Lotus Mountain and has been eroding the bright cold realm. Twitch twitch. Coatrial appears beside me, smiling faintly as he explains. The moment the power of vast cold manifested, the red sky began to turn back to blue, and the Blood Yin realm was reverting to the bright cold realm. The original plan was to combine Taoist Seo strength with the power of vast cold the Mad Lord had nurtured and strike the wedge within Heavenly Lotus Mountain, but Coatrial lets out a small laugh. I never expected that mist to amplify the power of vast cold. Thanks to that, it seems Blood Yin has taken an unimaginable shock. If Taoist Seo purifies the wedge in this state, Blood Yin will undoubtedly suffer a fatal blow. Perhaps because Blood Yin's sky has retreated, Coatrial kindly explains in his actual voice the current situation and what I need to do. Go now, Taoist Co. Pierce a hole through Heavenly Lotus Mountain, drain the power of the wedge, and then have the mist strike it with a single strike infused with the power of vast cold. That will completely collapse Blood Yin. All right. Jiag. Coatrial places a hand on my shoulder and smiles. I will place Tainted Soul filling the heavens. I know what you're thinking, but this time, it's really not like that. Without me, Taoist Co won't be able to face Blood Yin's will head-on. Because of our contract, I can't pull any tricks. Besides, if you're suspicious, you can easily dispel it with the power of the Heart Tribe. No. I didn't say anything. Though I feel uneasy, I reluctantly nod. Coatrial smiles faintly, placing his hand on my shoulder, and something sticky and dark starts to seep into my soul. I feel his sticky personality layering itself over my soul. As if a wrapper labeled Coatrial has been placed over my soul. I take my stance and rush from the wonderfully mysterious fortress toward the center of Heavenly Lotus Mountain, where a terrifying killing intent surges. Quang! My charge creates a hole straight through Heavenly Lotus Mountain. I head toward the core of Heavenly Lotus Mountain, brandishing my sword intent to cut through the path ahead, and finally, I manage to enter a large cavern. Kurarung. This place. I narrow my eyes. What probably once was an ordinary cavern is now filled with sticky blood and something resembling brain matter, and the walls of the cavern have transformed into flesh, as though they belong to some creature. At the center of the cavern, there are thousands of red auras writhed like tentacles, coiling around something in the shape of a sphere. From the center of the red sphere, a pitch-black dot emerges, glaring at me. Ziyeving. An overwhelming gaze. As soon as I face that gaze, I receive a mental shock so intense that my mind begins to melt, and my body trembles. Kuwag Goog. Is this the vision of a star-shattering stage? With the vision of void shattering, I read the malicious intent that blankets the entire plane of soul. An overwhelming malice and filth. A conglomeration of filth, obsession, and stickiness. The moment I lock eyes with it, I feel thousands of devilish arts and understandings of the devilish path etching themselves into my mind, gnawing away at my consciousness. And then I realize that even this is only barely possible because Coatrial's tainted soul filling the heavens is protecting my mind. From the star-shattering stage and beyond, the higher one's realm, the harder it is to gaze directly upon a higher being. It seems that as one's vision of the world broadens, sharpens, and becomes grander, so too does one's ability to comprehend, as well as the pain that comes with it. It's like how a person with sharp senses feels pain more acutely. Zzzing. I feel a will transmitting itself from the orb of tentacles that looks like an eyeball before me. Pray to me, worship me, you shall uphold my will, immediately turn around and kill the bug spewing the power of the vast cold. If you do so, you may become an esteemed one under my command. Ziyeving. An overwhelming will presses down, trying to twist my own. I can sense it. If I lose focus even for a moment, my consciousness will be swallowed by that will, turning me into a puppet in an instant. I realize that if it weren't for Coatrial's tainted soul filling the heavens acting as the minimum protective barrier, the existence known as me would have been devoured by Blood Yin before I could even steal my will. I stand before Blood Yin and speak. This little one has always held deep respect for the chief judge of the netherworld, Nether Devil True Lord Yu Hao Ti. Splash. A fountain of blood spurts from my entire body, but I pay it no mind and continue speaking. I can feel that Blood Yin's eye no longer tries to control me, and instead listens to my words. He was noble. He possessed a character that commanded the utmost respect from all. I find it truly regrettable that he met with misfortune while going to help his friend, in loyalty befitting his authority. No intent can be read from the eye before me. However, I can tell from the way this space no longer rejects me, and quietly listens to my words that it is quite pleased. As a mere mortal who admires that noble figure, I beseech thee, does not the will of the Great One remain immortal within thee? Is not the bright cold realm once the body of your friend? I beg thee, O Great One, in respect for the honor of your friend, to withdraw. If you act in remembrance of that honor, all the gods of the 3,000 great thousand worlds will once again see the loyalty of the chief judge of the netherworld. The entire space trembles at my words. The eye, composed of tentacles, gazes at me with what seems like a satisfied look, transmitting its will. One who knows propriety. I see that you have the eyes to recognize the truly great, but there is something you misunderstand. The reason I seek to enter the body of vast cold is that only I, their friend, can rightfully claim it. Its words continue. After vast cold's soul departed, they have been continuously desecrated for hundreds of thousands of years. Their name was altered to include the word light, and Beak Woon, a devotee of the light, has erased, controlled, and suppressed every trace of vast cold within their body. My goal is solely to raise vast cold's body again and challenge Beak Woon and the loathsome light that has desecrated the vast cold's honor for hundreds of thousands of years. I speak with a bitter smile. I humbly dare to proclaim, if you are truly the noble chief judge, would it not be proper for you to cleanse your friend's honor by growing your own strength, rather than raising their corpse to do so? As the one who judges the rights and wrongs of the deceased, should you not properly assess whether raising your friend's corpse is truly right? At my words, the gaze in the sphere changes. Are you trying to test my qualifications? I am Yu Hao Ti. No matter what anyone says, I am the greatest true lord and the greatest chief judge, favored by the oldest one. I do not need validation from a bug like you, for I am Yu Hao Ti. It seems my words have pricked their pride, as their eye flares with light. Explode and die, you wretched bug. Kagagugugu. An overwhelming pressure crushes down on me. Barely resisting, I laugh. I understand. Then I will no longer address you as chief judge but as blood yin. How dare you? At that moment, Quarrung, Jian Myohun appears beside me. It seems he has regained his senses now that the blood yin realm's influence has disappeared, and the heart heavenly demons have left from his mind. Drip, drip. He is crying. Is there anything I can do? It seems he heard everything through Coatrial's tainted soul filling the heavens, fully grasping the situation. That bastard showed me that time, over and over again. It appears Blood Yin's heart, heavenly demon, had been replaying the day of the golden divine, heavenly thunder sect's destruction in Jian Myohun's mind. I grin and speak. When I strike, immediately trigger heavenly tribulation. What? Kim Yon. I call out loudly to Kim Yon, and an overwhelming power surges toward me from behind. Kim Yon activates Yon's play. As the canvas of myriad forms and connections resonates with Yon's play, figures from my past are summoned to this place. Grinning, I point to the center of the sphere of red auras. Isn't the one inside sacred Master Beak Woon? I can feel it. Beak Woon is inside, along with the remnants of Yang Sujin embedded in her. After capturing sacred Master Beak Woon and placing her under their control, Blood Yin probably began to erode the bright cold realm through her. In other words, if I strike sacred Master Beak Woon, I can summon Yang Sujin's power inside her and drain Blood Yin's strength. After weakening Blood Yin, Kim Yon can deliver the final blow, ending everything. Before Blood Yin can react, I take my stance and shout. I shall save you, sacred master. I will summon heavenly tribulation and stimulate Yang Sujin's lightning spear. I recall the countless Heart Tribe members I've met and seen within the Heart Tribe territory. The 10,000 third stage Heart Tribe members. And Zhang X's 22 disciples. River Bend. Sudden wind, sudden rain, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Flash. The sword strike of Jiong Chang, who died while seeking the next realm, erupts from my blade. The same method I used against Coatrial in the 15th cycle bursts forth from my hand. But this time it's different. Now within my heart resides the 10,000 Heart Tribe members and 22 disciples. You want to reclaim vast cold's body to restore your realm and position. This is a world where even recovering your realm brings down heavenly tribulation. Go ahead, keep lusting after vast cold. I will bring down a heavenly tribulation you cannot possibly bear. With all of Cedar Wood Grove on my back, I begin my sword dance.